stopping by and clicking on the video. And if this is your first time here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We'll give a few minutes for some folks to get in here, and then we're gonna have some fun this evening. Happy Monday to you, and happy full moon. If we are still in the full moon energies, happy Lionsgate. We're still in that energy as well. So definitely bear with me one moment here. Let me see what's going on. Oh, here we go. All right. Hey, Shawty. Oh, I'm glad it resonates. Yay. Hey, Shawty. Uh-oh, let me turn this down. I was getting prepared to be my own moderator if I need to. Hey, Tandy, how are you? Good to have you in here. I'm almost caught up on the personal readings. I kind of figured you were, but I was like, I don't know, but hey, it was a random name. Okay, good. So, Nikayla, I like that. I'm doing quite well, Tandy. Yep, I've been trying to get caught up on the personal readings. I think I got about four more to go. A couple more slid in as paid readings. So, but at this point, I think I've got maybe four more readings to do, and then I'll be all caught up. So, I wanted to jump on in here. Hey, Valerie, how are you doing, beautiful? Oh, and thank you for your channel support. I did get your contribution today, and I am going to be getting your reading done either after tonight's live stream or in the morning. I was just about to say I got about four more to go, and yours is one of them. So I'm coming down on it now. I'm just about caught up. In fact, I'm trying. Well, I'm gonna wait till a few more people get in here. I may do this as an upload. I wanted to thank everyone that has bought me coffees over the past few weeks, but I may actually do that as an uploaded reading because I know a lot of the folks that are supporters may or may not be able to jump on every live stream. So I definitely want to acknowledge them as well. If you do feel inclined to buy me a coffee, it is greatly appreciated, and my coffee link is in the About page. Hey, All Lips 2011, it's good to see you. Yeah, that spirit, like I said, it's rough out here in these spiritual streets sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. We kind of sort of knew that when we signed up for this gig. We forget that part when life is lifing and whooping our behinds. But truthfully, we knew it wasn't going to be easy during this time period. Gaia is in labor, having her birthing some things. She's having her labor pains, and we laboring right along with her. So, yeah. Definitely, you're loved if you come in here, Beatrice. So, yeah, you are needed. You'll be missed. Life is worth living, of course. Absolutely. Hey, Papa No Mercy. Thank you. Appreciate you. Beautiful soul for shouting me out like that. I'll take it. I'll take it. I hope everyone is doing well on this beautiful Monday. I see we got 33 folks in the house. Can we get the likes up just a little bit? I appreciate that. That is an energetic exchange and it is free. I appreciate you. We can get those rolling. Yeah. Honestly, and people don't understand that not only are we experiencing the labor pains, but I don't know if anybody's been following the Schuman resonance starting right before the pandemic, and as when I really started paying attention to it. The Schumann resonance is basically the Earth's heartbeat, and it's been 8.13, I think, hertz ever since they started measuring it. And right before the pandemic, it started spiking around 18, 19, 20, which is a lot of difference between 8 hertz all the way up to 20. And through the pandemic, it was fluctuating, but it started doing that again within the past few months. Earlier part of this year, it's been spiking as high as 53 hertz. Rashid, I am not divorced. I'm actually single. I'm involved with someone, but I'm not legally married. So, and I honestly, I haven't ever been married. I was one of those imbalanced empaths that went the path of the low, becoming the low hanging fruit for narcissists and stuff. I've been proposed to probably 11 times, but fortunately, honestly, I had really bad taste in men when I was in my imbalanced state, and I knew I couldn't actually marry him. So, you say, will he pay his child support so you can go buy groceries? I don't know if that is that your personal question, Tony. Promise all my children are grown, so I don't have no child support to collect. I wish I did, but I already know I'm gonna have to take that L and take it to the grave because yeah, my ex left out with my kids aged out of the system with him owing me about $78,000. So I ain't sweat it. At no adopt you. Well, I can be your spiritual mother for sure. I surely can. You say you here for the fire alarm beep. You ain't got no fire alarm beep over here. I definitely that annoys me. I'm one of the few folks of color that can't stand that. I will crawl up on a chair, a counter, get the maintenance man, somebody. I cannot stand a fire alarm beep. If you're hearing anything, you're hearing my music in the background. I do try to cover my third eye, Mike. It's just a habit I'm into. You say I look like Felix from Stray Kids. I I don't know who Felix from Stray Kids is, but I'll take that. I look like me as far as I'm concerned, but I know I do have several doppelgangers on this planet. There's only so much you can do with two eyes, a nose, and a mouth. So with 8 billion people on the planet, there's probably at least a dozen people that look like me or I look like them. Hey, unique goddess, welcome in. Hey, Paul, welcome in. Hey, Christ Moo, how are you? Ooh, I'm a poet and I ain't even know it. Sketch Media Co. I am glad to have you in here regardless. Like I said, we don't have a fire alarm beep, but you are still welcome. Abbas, welcome to you too. I think that's everybody. So how are y'all doing and where are we going in the conversation today? Within reason. Now keep it classy. You know how we do. Keep it classy. You have an exam on the 28th, send you the energy to prepare. Bo- Boy, like I'm gonna say what I was say. Boy, please. It is now the 11th. I don't care if you had never opened the book between the 11th and the 28th. If you can't prepare for that exam, you don't plan on passing it. You got this. Stop playing with me. I do send you all powerful energy and all that. Stay focused on it, stay on it. But you got this. You got 20 something days to 20 what? 27 days to prepare. No, wait a minute. 11, 8 to 17 days to prepare for that exam. You better pass. If you don't, I'm going to reach through this phone and give you a spiritual spanking. What do you need to do to keep certain people from speaking negatively on you? All lips, you can't stop nobody from doing what they do. You really can't. All you got to do is keep your energy clear. Make sure that you're asking for protection. Call in your spirit team. Ask Archangel Michael to put a fiery wall of protection around you and anybody that is sending evil eye or any negative spell work, any of that stuff your way, return it to sender. Do any cord cuttings for people that you know that are out there is hating and whatever. Let meditate and let spirit show you who needs to be released, and then you do your part to do the spiritual work and leave the rest to spirit and your ancestors. But there's really, that's all you can do. Haters gonna hate. It's their job. Your light irritates their demons. They really can't help themselves, baby. So I don't know what else to tell you. Hey, Michael Ellis Sr., sending love and light to you too. Bilal, yeah. Make your way back to the Shinigami realm. I don't know where the Shinigami realm is, but yeah, like you said, anytime you pray, got to make sure who you praying to, whether it's really going to be effective or not. But call in your spirit team and you do that work and then release it to your spirit team and your ancestors, and they'll take care of it. What's going on here? Paul, this is basically kind of a spiritual free for all right now within the realms of the things I talk about on my channel. Of course, I am a clairaudient oracle priestess for Yeshua and Lord Enki, primarily in Thoth. I discuss biblical text as in the context of like the Anunnaki text as well. So it's not a religious channel here per se. It is a very spiritual channel. I talk about Christianity only in the context of what Yeshua was talking about how it's misleading the world. So I'm not, proselytizing anybody to go. We ain't going there. But anyway, you say you a bit lazy. Honestly, it could be the energy, Papa No Mercy. It really could be the energy. Um, But truthfully, if that exam is important to you, like I said, you got 17 days to prepare. If that exam is important to you, you're gonna find a way to study. No, Jose, I am not Arabic. I probably have some Arabic history in my lineage because I do kind of rock with a lot of ancient Egyptian stuff to a degree. Uh, I'm not sure whoever this is that said hi to you, but I can't read any of the Slavic languages, Russian or any of that. I'm a procrastinator too, but when it come down to exams, I'm gonna do what I got to do. Hey, Bala Usman, welcome in, welcome in. I've never been to Portugal, IKPL, but I don't have anything against Portugal. I love all of my brothers and sisters all around the world. I don't get involved in world politics or none of the rest of that. If you are a human in a skin, you good with me until, if you personally prove yourself not to be a cool human, that's one thing, but I don't have any issue with anybody. Vibe, well, in honest, I was about to say I'm not doing that King Von stuff. I'm not getting involved in that because you on by fly high King Von. He silenced his ops. He was a murderer, okay? I don't care what you say. That's not cool. His silence your ops. What kind of street nonsense is that? You might want to get your energy together. Paul, I'm not a palm reader. I'm a tarot card reader, but I don't read palms. I don't do tea leaves or any of that stuff. It's all through clairaudient messages and tarot and oracle cards. Jose, or I'm sorry, Josu Pineda, if I could do the lottery numbers, boo, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I would be somewhere going and collecting my lottery check. I'm going to give you the lottery numbers if I don't give them to myself. Come on now. Hey, Akenna, how are you? Good morning, good evening to you. Good evening. Thank you so much. Hey, Jackson Ulrich, how are you? Welcome in. How can someone know about their own energy, Paul? Meditation, study. There's plenty of information here on YouTube. Start training your algorithm to be guided more towards spiritual things rather than the pimple popping and the cat videos or rump shakers or gaming or whatever it is. I had to kind of actually, I wound up starting a different YouTube channel when I really got more into spirituality. And over time, my algorithm has kind of trained itself. And if you'd be amazed when you start paying attention to that and allowing your algorithm to be trained, you'll be sent all kinds of information that can help you. But YouTube is like one of the larger search engines on the planet. So you can look at, how to find out about my energy, shifting my focus spiritually. You can stick around, subscribe to this channel. It'll definitely help you raise your vibration and shift your energy and your belief systems too. Hey, Niana, how are you? Niana? Oh, that's weird. I never had that black glitch thing. That was weird. You said when someone starts having a lot of losses, does it have anything to talk about the energy? By Joshua Mallow, we don't have time for that foolishness. You don't even know what we have not mentioned anything except something positive and spiritual. So if you've come in here and decided that this is demonic, you're the one that's demonic, my love, and you can leave now. Goodbye. Hey, Adubius, how are you? My thought on angel numbers. Oh, let me answer this other question first, and then we'll get into the angel numbers. But Paul, anytime you're having a lot of losses, it can be one of a couple things. Either it's something that you need to shift your focus on, that you're trying to lean towards something that isn't really in your best interest, or you may have some things that spirit is stripping away from you to try to redirect you someplace else. Sometimes our most of the time, our tower moments are there happening. We feel like stuff is happening to us, but it's not, it's happening for us. And very often, if we don't see the light of what we need to release, sometimes circumstances will line up in such a way to strip those things from us so that we can see what we're really supposed to see, or take certain things away from us so that we can be redirected in another way. For example, if you're supposed to be a spiritual teacher, just let's say, for example, you're being called to be some kind of a spiritual teacher, but for some reason you keep hanging on to a job that's making you miserable. It might be good money, but it's making you miserable. It's keeping you stressed out. It's keeping you so stressed that you're really not focusing spiritually. And spirit, you kind of sort of heard in the back of your head that you really need to find something else or something else to do, but you won't get rid of it, and you won't get rid of it, and you won't get rid of it. Well, after a while, you might just get laid off or fired. And we think it's a bad thing when it happens, but it's genuinely spirit trying to get you out of a toxic situation so that you can go and do what they want you to do. Um, Real and Rifle Adventures. I'm not Bunny. My name is Teresa, but you're welcome here if you'd like. Lifetime listener. No, I do not have gators in my tub. I am from Florida, but I am not that much of a Floridian. I don't mess with gators. Hey, butterfly babe. I'm glad you like my energy. How do you get to learn your gifts, and what your opinion about finding your purpose? Stick around here. Honestly, to learn what your gifts are, you can ask questions as long as it ain't something that's like, I'm not going to pull tarot cards if they're that personal, but general spiritual questions you certainly can. Butterfly babe, let me back up a little bit. I'm going to get to you. I had a question from a dubious about angel numbers. I'm trying to kind of keep this in order so I don't get lost in all of the scrolling questions. The angel numbers are literally like spirit kind of trying to get your attention. It's like literally a little flash from spirit. In 2017, well, let me back up. I made up my mind. My life had been falling apart, and I built it back up, and it was falling apart, and I built it back up for a long time. And then I kind of started met a mentor and started kind of sort of tending to my energy a little bit, and kind of sort of had started having Kundalini awakening, and kind of sort of started feeling energy in my hands, but I still really wasn't that spiritually focused, and things was getting raggedier and raggedier. And then in 2016, towards the end of 2016, I made up my mind I wanted to learn how to manifest. I had been listening to Abraham and Esther, and they kept talking about manifestation and law of attraction and all that. And I kind of sort of understood law of attraction, but I didn't think I was seeing manifestations happening the way I wanted to. So I really wanted to drill down on that. So I had been hearing Abraham talking about meditation so much it was making me sick of it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to meditate for 30 days straight and see what happens. Okay. That was at the end of 2016. By spring of 2017, I was telling my friends and family that I knew that I was undergoing some kind of a transformation. I didn't know what was happening yet, but I knew something was happening. And I started seeing all kinds of angel numbers. It literally went through the whole spectrum: 111, 222, 333, all the way through the 3-digit numbers. Then I started seeing 4 digits. And then it got to a point where I was really like, all right, already, spirit, with the numbers already. And then I started seeing song synchronicities. And then I would get messages in meditation. I wouldn't necessarily understand why something was true, but I would understand in meditation that it was true. And then whatever I would see in meditation, 2, 3, 4 days later, a week later, what have you, it would pop up in YouTube, some kind of a video explaining to me the medical, spiritual, scientific, psychological, whatever it is, some kind of further explanation related to what I was seeing in meditation. So I realized that spirit really was kind of, I was following my intuition, and it was kind of poking me. And then in 2019, going into 2020, I realized I was kind of being invited on the path of the initiate. Some meditation programs, like initiation type programs, started coming to me and various things. And I did a guided meditation with David Lyon for opening my spiritual gifts. And at first, I didn't know that anything had happened until summer of 2020, when my clairaudience opened in a way that I could no longer deny. I had had clairaudient experiences several times before, but I kept thinking a lot of what I was hearing was me just imagining things or making it up, or it was kind of sporadic. But when I started hearing things that I absolutely did not know, and I had to stop and look up the answer to see if it was true, then I couldn't deny that I was actually hearing spirit at that point. And when that happened, I basically prayed and asked if any of the ascended masters who were willing to work with me would make themselves known to me. And immediately within 24 hours, Saint Germain, Yeshua, and Thoth made it very abundantly clear that they had heard me, and that, you know, and I've had connection with other energies since then, but that was kind of how it started for me. But yeah, anytime you're seeing any numbers, 3 digits, 4 digits, whether they're all sequential or anything, if a number catches your attention, look it up. You got a phone right in your hand. Just look up 345 angel number meaning, or spirit number meaning, twin flame number meaning. You can get them all right there, front page Google. Anytime a number pops up in your attention, whether it's a signpost, a license plate, a flash, a number across the screen of your phone. If you're watching a video and somebody says something profound and you happen to look at the clock and it's a specific time on the timer that grabs your attention during that video, look it up, because it is your spirit team trying to get messages to you. All right, butterfly. Oh, we talked a little bit about how to find your gifts and your purpose. Ask, clear the way, meditate, clear your energies, be doing your meditation. I love to recommend barefoot meditate. Go outside, get barefoot, put your feet on Mama Gaia, and meditate and do breath work with your feet on the earth, and open yourself up to receiving, and allow, just pay attention to what you're receiving in meditation, and ask to find out what your purpose is and what your gifts are. There are guided meditations that you can do to ask to open your spiritual gifts to you. Yeah. Good afternoon, Ekpono Lazarus. How are you? Hey, David Owen. How are you? Hey, HR4. You said when a doctor says there's nothing wrong with you, even though you're not. Honestly, I'm not telling nobody not to pay attention to doctors, but doctors don't know everything. They go to school for 8 years so that they can learn about human anatomy and or psychology, and they basically start one they that gives them the authority to apply for a license that says that they know more than the average bear about anatomy and stuff, to the point that the pharmaceutical companies will allow them to prescribe medicine, and hospitals will allow them to come in and cut on you. But they don't know everything. Why do you think they call it practicing medicine? That's all they're doing. They don't know everything, and they definitely don't know. How can a doctor know you better than you? Especially if they see 150 patients a day and they walk in and read some stuff on a clipboard and spend 5 minutes with you, if that. So if a doctor says there's nothing wrong with you and you don't feel like something's right, it may not be anything physically wrong with you. You might be going through an ascension. It could be something spiritual. It could be something energetic. Or if you really still think it's physical, go get a second opinion. You're supposed to. Any doctor that's mad because you get another opinion is a doctor you should never go to again. It should encourage you to get a second opinion. Kenny Rojas, you certainly can ask a question, my dear. Good afternoon, Ekpona. Hey, Winlow, welcome. Honestly, Paul, it's rough financially for everybody. I don't, I got laid off from my job and have not been successful in getting one yet as well. I kind of sort of know in my case, the spirit is wanting me to do more of this. I just have to find a way within the realm of spiritual work to monetize it. And that's something else too. If you're having you got a family to provide for. So truthfully, you might want to generate some money for yourself and then just continue to look for ways to work for yourself either in the digital space, online marketing. I don't know if you're handy with your hands. There's a lot of things, but if you're not finding the 9 to 5, because there's no job security nowhere anymore anyway. So if you're not finding a swipe a time card 9 to 5 job, do the best you can. Keep doing things to generate money, but take some of that money and invest in yourself to learn how to do some of these things that you don't have to go and apply for, that you can go online. And again, I don't know which ones they are because it do take money to get set up in almost any of them. I'm looking for some myself. But I do understand that we're entering into an era where physical work is starting to go to the wayside. It's more and more about what you can do digitally in the online space. That's like the new place. I mean, there's still some place for handyman and physical labor and things like that, but not as much as it used to be. So unless you're like a carpenter or have a specific skill set where that's a physical thing you can do like that, then you might want to just start trying to look into something in the digital space. I mean, Dustin, we do. Once you get a car of any color, you're gonna notice more of the same. And I honestly think that that's just kind of our alignment with where our attention is. Just yeah, and truthfully, to some degree, as powerful creators that we are, we don't even realize it, but our energy, where attention goes, energy flows. So when your attention has focused on that red car, you will notice more red cars. More red cars are genuinely being drawn into your physical experience for you to notice them. It's kind of how law of attraction works, and we don't give it enough credit for that. But that's a very good example, a simple thing, and you test it with other things that don't mean as much to you. When people have difficulty manifesting, sometimes it's because they want it so much or it's so important that they keep noticing that it's not there. But things like that don't matter one way or another, watch it and see. It'll prove to you how you can shift your vibration and it starts to literally gel up different things in your physical experience around you. Ask to see something you wouldn't normally see. You might, I don't know, a platypus, or you want to see a purple butterfly, or you want to see, I don't know, a polka dot elephant. It doesn't even have to be anything physical. You can ask to test law of attraction like that. Focus, like really focus on something odd that you want to see. You might not actually see a real live breathing representation of it, but see if you don't see it online sometime in the next 3 or 4 days. Don't matter what it is. If you want to see the Eiffel Tower, I promise you, if you really, really concentrate on wanting to see the Eiffel Tower, it'll pop up in a video. Somebody will be talking about it. You'll go down the street and see it on a picture, flip open a magazine. You're going to see it. You say, what is a circular rainbow? When you reveal the mist, water, and the sunlight, the sun shines through water from the whole water holes to reveal the circle rainbow. That's water is a prism. I mean, it's acting like a prism. Light is going through the water droplet and it's separating out like a prism. That's all. We put a lot of store in the rainbow because of the Bible story of the rainbow, but the Bible story of the rainbow is actually given to us backwards anyway. It wasn't Yahweh that said that he was never going to destroy the earth by water again. Yahweh was mad as hell when he found out we survived the flood. It was Isis who felt regret that they had allowed humanity to go through the flood and said that she would never allow that to happen again. And it was Lord Enki, not Yahweh, it was Lord Enki that gave Noah Ziazudra the dimensions of how to build the ark to survive, because Noah was his biological son. He had made it with a human, and Noah was an Anunnaki hybrid, and Enki did not want his son to perish in the flood, so they did that. But you can see all kinds of rainbows. Like I said, it's just a phenomena with the way light moves through water. Rob Nicholson, I hope you enjoy it as well. Honestly, I haven't seen it yet, and I honestly don't know if I intend to see it, just because of the clips that I've seen and some of the subject matter. I used to not mind monster movies and stuff that's talking about the undead and the fact, Bram Stoker's Dracula was one of my favorite, and Queen of the Damned, and Interview with the Vampire, and all that stuff. But now that I'm at this phase of my spirituality, I have to be real careful about what I allow in through my eyes and my ears. And there's just some stuff that I've seen in the clips that make me think that I probably don't really want to see it. Not, and again, not saying that nobody else should. If you want to see it, see it. I hope you enjoy it, but yeah, I probably won't. Thank you, Joyce Lucas. I appreciate you. I love you too, dear. I really do. Honestly, this is what Yeshua has told me I'm supposed to do. And so, yeah, but I'm so very grateful for those who do show up and are letting me know that this is something that is valuable to them, that they're interested in it, because that would, I mean, I know everybody won't be. We get plenty of the trolls and plenty of the haters. Actually, they haven't been as many, but I know that they were coming. But I don't care about them. I'm here for the ones who are here for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know any of this stuff several years ago. And once I started connecting the dots and seeing these different things and learning from the school of hard knocks and all that other good things, how could I not share it? I didn't go through all that stuff for nothing. I went through it so that I can help somebody kind of short circuit or understand their trip through this maze too. This is Earth School, and it's a little tricky and it's a little uncomfortable. I'm not teaching doctrine, Mary Mendez. I'm teaching freedom. I'm not teaching any particular religion. I am not proselytizing for any fact. I speak out very adamantly against all of the Abrahamic religions, because they are all worshiping one central God, Yahweh, whose original name was Enlil, whose also name is Satan the devil, and humanity has been bamboozled. They do not know that. Christianity got people bowing and scraping to Yahweh Jehovah like it's a good thing. But Yeshua came here and told the Jews that their father, his father, was not the father that they were worshiping, that they were worshiping the devil. And they hated him so much for that that they unalived him and then flipped the script to have people, his followers, worshiping Yahweh anyway. That's the hugest irony and hypocrisy of the Abrahamic religions. Yeshua was not pointing people towards Jehovah, Yahweh. He was literally pointing people away from Yahweh, Jehovah. And they turned around and killed him and then laced him in the middle of that religion and lied on him and what he stood for, and said that his death was to buy back our sins. But truthfully, his death was just to silence a beautiful prophet so that humanity would not learn the truth. But that's kind of the platform that I speak on here. I'm very much in tune and in connection with Yeshua, and I speak his truth. Hey, Levi Israel, how are you? Hey, Daga Laundry, how are you? Oh, wow. You said Lisa Blunt, that's a cool story. Yeah. Honestly, our loved ones do come to us through songs sometimes, and especially if you heard it very strongly, clairaudiently, and it wasn't actually playing on the radio, then yeah, and if somebody came to mind during that, yeah, it definitely could have been uh, your loved ones getting in touch with you. Lifetime listener, if you got a question, put it out here. I'm just scrolling down trying to get to them as I can. Levi, yes, I will talk to you if you ask. Uh, I'm just scrolling down here trying to get to the questions as I get to them. Mary Mendez, like I said, I rock with Yeshua very much. Thoth, who honestly, in my opinion, I believe is the same energy, but Lord Enki, Yeshua, Thoth, Saint Germain, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Metatron. Lisa Blunt, gentle stretching and yoga certainly can't hurt you unless you got some kind of a bone condition or injury that a doctor has directly advised you against it. Gentle stretching and yoga it will help open our energy centers. There's a channel, it's called Tai Chi Workout, and I think We Move is another one. I can't remember the names of them right now. Several that I'm subscribed to, but Tai Chi workout can kind of help you with some gentle exercises and of course, anytime you find gentle stretching exercises. But in my opinion, I think it does help us to get closer. I'll tell you something else, Lisa. If Mary Mendez, you might be in the wrong room, and if you are, you can go right on ahead and leave. That's up to you. I'm not trying to force nobody to stay. If you want to stay, you're welcome. If not, you do you, boo. But Lisa, anytime there's a channel called Donna Eden. Um, I can't remember. It might just look up Donna Eden and you'll find her channel. She doesn't personally post as much anymore because she's in her 80s now, but her daughters are in their 60s and they will go ahead and they're promoting her teaching, but she works a lot with opening the energy centers, and she had a daily, um I forgot what they call, like the morning workout, but she teaches like activating the energy center. She teaches thumping the sternum and then clearing the energy space through here and the face and opening up. And I basically would go through and follow that workout. It's literally like opening the lymph nodes, it's clearing and activating all the energy centers in the body. And that it winds up going all the way down from basically from the top of the head down through the feet. But she shows you how to do it. And it's only like a 5 or 6 minute little thing. It's not really a workout, but when I do that before meditation, woo, it opens those channels. It literally clears the path to open energy so that you can flow energy in a way that is I promise you, if you do it consistently, you will notice the difference. Um, but yeah, yoga and gentle stretching is usually pretty cool. Even if you have to do seated yoga and stuff, there's yoga for almost anybody, unless you are, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'm being literal, unless you are a quadriplegic, there's a yoga path out there for almost everyone. And breath work is super important as well. I would definitely, anytime you're doing yoga, I would also integrate some kind of breath work, whether it's box breathing, Wim Hof, infinity breathing. But yeah. Hi, I'm doing well. S. Shaw's 7700. I can't read Arabic, so I'm not sure. I am. I'm not from Saudi Arabia. I am from the United States. I am from Florida initially, and am currently living in Georgia. Honestly, just keep meditating, Lisa. It'll come to you. Red cardinals are very auspicious indicators that somebody is trying to get in touch with you. They are very spiritual birds and they are messengers. Blue jays are messengers as well, but for sure, cardinals, yeah, pay attention when cardinals show up. Hey, Crystal Thompson, welcome, welcome. HR4, how to defend yourself from evil eye if you're affected by it easily. You might want to consider a red bracelet. I have like a Tibetan, Chinese, whatever here, like red cord bracelets, an evil eye pendant or charm, a Hamza can help you as well. Spiritual baths, a salt bath, keep protective, like an onyx or a piece of black tourmaline or something like that, or obsidian with you. But the main thing to do is to change that belief that you are as easily affected by it. Shift your energy so that you become, ask spirit to help you so that you're not easily affected by it. Ask your guides to help you. Anybody that literally, when you do the spiritual baths, when you do your energetic work, when you pray to your guides, when you ask Archangel Michael or Raphael or whomever are your spiritual guides, ask them to protect you. And if there is anyone sending negative energy or evil eye your way, wrap it in love and return it to sender, please. Allow you, and if you, your ancestors, any of them, they can do that for you. Hey, Afun HJ, good morning. Oh yeah, if you, like I said, when cardinals actually stop and visit close to you like that, it usually is a visitation. Patua, if you are calling on Archangel Satan, then that's your business, but you need to get up off of here because we don't play them games. You think that's funny? It's not funny. Satan is Yahweh, and he has led the world lost for 2,500 years, and including you, if that's who you choose to rock with. Go on about your business because we don't have time for that kind of foolishness. We're trying to escape the dragon, not run to him. Will we ever live on Nibiru? I doubt it, Joyce. The scriptures say that earth belongs to the Son of Man, and they will reside forever upon it. Because here's the thing: we are related to the Atlanteans on Nibiru, but we are also, part of our DNA is from the hominid that the creator of all put here from the beginning. The folks from Nibiru came here and messed with God's creations. And God said, okay, I ain't tell you to do it, but now that you've done it, this is their home and they are going to be here. No worries about that. So we might be able to go and visit Nibiru, but I seriously doubt it, you know? I mean, because would you really want to? If life were extended here, where our telomeres were uncapped so that we were going back to living 1,000, 2,000 years like they were initially, if you went to Nibiru for even 1 year, by the time you came back, everybody that you ever knew would be dead. So unless you plan on going there and staying. And I honestly am not sure that you could. And the reason I say I don't think we could, Joyce, is because even Enki and Ninma and Thoth reached a point in time that Anu said that they had been here on Earth for so long that they couldn't even go back because they had been here for so long. The atmosphere here is so very different that their bodies would not survive the transition back to Nibiru very well. So they wound up having to stay here. Hathor, I can't remember who she was in the original Anunnaki pantheon, but she is part of the Egyptian pantheon, so she is an Anunnaki leader. She was a goddess. I'm trying to. I'm not gonna stop and look it up now, but I honestly don't know who she was. She might have. I don't even want to try to guess who she was initially in the Anunnaki pantheon, if you will, but like I said, they were still very much, because like Isis became Anana and Ishtar, or I'm sorry, Ninhursag, Ninma became Isis, and then later Anana and Ishtar, and Thoth became uh, Tahuti, Enki became Ptah, So I'm not sure who Hathor is, but she was an Anunnaki who eventually became seen as a goddess in the Egyptian pantheon. Valerie, it is tapping that I was talking about, but it's a little bit more than just regular tapping because, I mean, they talk about tapping in the face for certain things. That's like to relieve stress, but she wasn't doing it simply to relieve stress. She's having basically looking at various pressure points along the body to free up the energy center. She had like she's, and it's more than simple tapping. It's a little harder than that, but it's like clearing the lymph channels, clearing the energy centers all the way down. And they were very, like I said, according to acupressure points on the body that basically, oh, I'm so sorry. I have a hangnail and I couldn't stand it no more. But yeah, it was basically to allow energy to flow freely throughout the body. Hey, Elena, Bokenkamp Sullivan. Hey, Brittany. Welcome in, welcome. Hey, Lenora Beckford, welcome. Exactly, Conrad. What people have been told is God is not. Like I said, the God of the Bible was an Anunnaki astronaut who came here and lied to people and said he was God and has literally been running things off the rails for 2,500 years. But invisible sky daddy, Alpha Omega, that he lied in the scriptures and said no. Now, do we have a creator that made this earth? Absolutely. But that creator has not demanded that bowing, scraping worship that Yahweh has demanded. The creator of all has not demanded that of us. The creator of all has not even chosen to react to interact directly with us. He put his creations here and left it. And then the Anunnaki came in and did a little home invasion, just like folks today do. Like in the United States, they discovered America when it's already was hundreds of thousands of people already here. When they discovered America, the Anunnaki came here and discovered Earth and decided to genetically modify one of the hominids that they found here, and they spliced their DNA with the hominids DNA to create Homo sapiens sapiens, us. I'm not urging anybody to go into outer space, honey. I'm telling people that the lies that we've been told and sold are just that, they're lies. Our progenitors came from outer space, from a planet on the other side of Pluto named Nibiru. But I'm not encouraging or urging anybody to go anywhere. I want to stay right here on Earth. I don't have no desire to go nowhere. I just desire for the nonsense that's been happening here to leave, for Yahweh's influence to leave this planet. 75% of the planet worships Yahweh in one form or other, whether it's Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. And because of that, ever since the world has been embracing the Abrahamic religions, there has been war, famine, death, misogyny, all kinds of injustice on this planet because the God they serve is about that time. He's a rapist, he's a misogynist, he's a liar, he's a deceiver, he's a manslayer, and all that stuff is right there in the Bible. It says that he is. People just don't want to believe it because they attribute all of that to being Satan, but they don't understand that his first title when he got here, or his second title, I should say, when he got here, was Satan of the Eden. Okay, thank you, Antoine, for that information. He says that Hathor was not part of the original Mesopotamian pantheon. She was strictly an Egyptian goddess, so she came along a little bit later. Okay, and she's Ra's consort and a divine feminine force. That's interesting. If she's Ra's consort, it makes you wonder if maybe she could have been a representation. Again, it would have had to have been Lord, but could she have been a representation of Sarpanet? After Sarpanet died, was Marduk so enamored of her that she became a goddess? I don't know. But it's good to know that she wasn't part of the original Mesopotamian pantheon. Hey, Mahami Salifu, how are you? Yeah, there are a lot of overlapping and echoing figures, Antoine, and that's good to know that she wasn't there. I just didn't want to stop and get distracted trying to look it up on Google. Good night, Michelle. Glad you could join us for a little while from Martinique. Awesome. Honestly, if anybody can tell you that somebody is your guide, butterfly, but let your guides make you understand that they're your guides. You can take that information. I'm not saying it's not bad information, but the more you focus in meditation, different ones will start coming to mind, or you'll start seeing repeated messages online or hearing it several times over. But just because one reader did pull the card and said that she was your guide doesn't necessarily mean so. And your guides can change over time. Like I said, when I used to tap in with a whole lot of different folks, when I first asked for guidance and Yeshua and Thoth, I mean Yeshua and Saint Germain came forward, I was handed off from Saint Germain handed me off to Master Dwal Kul for a while for the purpose of going through an initiation program under Master Dwal Kul. And I came in contact with a lot of different ones for different things. The Divine Director checked in, and Kuan Yin checked in for a little bit, and whatnot. But my main guys, it settled down to my main guide was Yeshua, Thoth, Inky. The more you, like I said, you'll figure it out. But yeah, in any time, in any tarot readings, mine, anybody else's, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you didn't know what to do with that, don't do nothing with it yet. If it resonate, if it was really, really for you, it would resonate so hard you couldn't not pay attention to it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Christina Shaw, the Anunnakis came from Nibiru. And before Nibiru, it said that they were basically initially two displaced factions of people that who lost their home world in the galactic wars. So their planet was destroyed and they relocated to Nibiru. And over time, over hundreds of thousands of years, they settled on Nibiru and became another culture. They named themselves the Atlanteans. And then when they're when the atmosphere on Nibiru was threatened because of the holes in the atmosphere, that's when they had to come to Earth to find gold to save their home planet, because that's their home now. They lost their original planet in the galactic wars, and they settled on Nibiru because there was nobody there when they got there. I don't know who Heka is, Niana. You said, was everything created through that? Like I said, the Anunnaki refer to the creator of all. That would be the one in Genesis chapter 1 where it says that he made the heavens and the earth and all of that. Now, by the time we get to Genesis chapter 2, is to the Anunnaki story, but the original creator of all would be basically the one, the unbegotten, the prime source, if you will, the one who initially decided to divide itself unto itself to make the feminine and masculine principle, and then created the aeons, and then the aeons begin to create, and on and on and on. So I don't have never heard of the one source, the original source being referred to as Heka. I'm not sure who that is. Butterfly babe, meditation. Lots and lots of meditation. Ask for it. I mean, in prayer, guidance, whatever, you can always reach out to Yeshua. That's a good place to start and maybe even finish. Who knows where you're going to be led to. But I know for sure you can ask to have Yeshua show you the way and ask to be shown to who your guides are. Like I said, that's what I did. I literally asked if any of the ascended masters were willing to work with me, make themselves known to me, please, and they came forward. But again, if nothing else in this day and time with where we are at the doorway to Aquarius and seeing the way Holy Spirit is moving and knowing and understanding that Yeshua is kind of running the show, so to speak, in the spiritual realm right now, you can for sure reach out to him and see where he sends you. Oh wow, cool, butterfly babe. Hey Zara, thank you. Appreciate you. Hey Daga. Scientists talk about the Big Bang Theory, but honestly, I think that was just because they were trying to escape the religion lie in the best way they knew how at the time. Because my question would still be with scientists, you talk about a Big Bang Theory, but who put the stuff there to go bang? Somebody, that the raw materials for the bang had to come from somewhere. There is intelligent design. The creator of all may have used Big Bang to start the evolutionary process, but ultimately, I don't care who you are, they don't holler about, something, the primordial ooze came out of the waters. Well, who put the water there? Who put the planet there for it to hold the water for the ooze to come out of? Somewhere. You cannot go back to just a random occurrence. There is an intelligent design, that a designer who had an intelligent thought and put all of this into motion somehow. I will never accept that it's all just random and there's no intelligent design, no thought. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. You can you know, go take apart a piece of equipment that you don't like, or something that's broken. You could take apart a toaster, put the pieces in a box, and you can shake them up for the next 1,000 years. They're never going to just magically put themselves back together to be a working toaster. They just won't. So the idea that there is no intelligent designer here, to me, scientists went that's what I call ignorant arrogance on the part of humans. Oh wow, you say you don't know, but you understand from looking. Awesome. I was hoping that these would translate to another language, but I guess not. That's what I was wondering, Antoine. Like I said, I didn't know for sure whether or not Hathor would have any correlation to Sarpanet, but I knew he loved her enough to marry her because she was human. And because that was the whole thing with the Watchers. They got mad because he married a human, so they came down and they wanted to marry humans too, and resulted in the Nephilim. But because he loved her so much, when she passed, I wondered if he deified her. That's all. Hey, Prachi K, glad to see you in here. How are you? Hey, Jesse Leonard. Hey, Raina Say, how are you? I'm not sure. That's what I said. I've never heard of Hayoka, so I can't really speak on it. I don't know what Hayoka is. Yeah, Prachi K, I understand that there's a concept, but even still, with from the emptiness, the field of all possibilities, if you trace it back, and this is the thing, I used to call it chilling in the God problem, because this is what all humans always get stuck on. They want to go past trying to figure out how to get along here and then jump all the way out to the very beginning. Our human minds are not qualified to even conceive of the notion of something that had no beginning. So we come up with all kinds of theories and possibilities and all the rest of that. But somewhere, if we go back far enough, there comes back to an original designer. It has to. Unique. You said you loved him for that reason alone, because he wanted a human, but truthfully, he set off something into motion that really, really wasn't cool. Now, I am a Hayoka. I don't know about about Hayoka, but I am a Hayoka Chevalier. That's the sacred clown. That's a very, I mean, it is an empath, but it's a form of an empath, basically the INFP empath, and that is exactly what I am. But like I said, Marduk, in my opinion, Marduk ain't quite as bad as Yahweh, but he ain't far off from Yahweh. But him taking Sarpanet as a bride put a lot of mess into motion. I'm glad. I mean, truthfully, Lord Enki made it with plenty of humans too, but he didn't go and make a public display of it. It was the Marduk had a lot of issues. Let's just put it that way. He was such a badass, not in a good way, but he was so bad that he was exiled twice by the Anunnaki. So he really didn't play fair. You know what I mean? And he was the one that set off. He destroyed Schumer and and Eridu by setting the weapons of terror into motion just to take down the Nurta in the Anunnaki wars because he didn't want Nurta to have more power. Him and Yahweh was on this mad power grab, power, power, power. That's why he started that whole Amun Ra thing and saying Amen at the end of prayers. So no matter what God you prayed to, all of your prayers will be roped back to him with that binding spell by ending the prayer in Amen. And think about it, no matter what language people speak around the world, you still hear them. They'll be praying in a whole other language and still end that prayer with Amen. It's a binding spell. So I have a hard time loving Marduk, but anyway. Oh, Jaxie, congratulations. Congratulations. Oh, you talking about teaching in high school? Yeah, I'd be crying too. I ain't got the nerve. I love kids, but from afar. I don't want to deal, honestly, and it ain't, well, I don't think I'd have a hard time dealing with them per se, but when you look at this politics of school plus them parents, good luck, Jaxie. That's all I got to say. Raina C, I did have a good day, and I hope you did as well. Prachi K, yeah, he's actually Antoine is even going through the Lotus Sutra right now. You should go check out his channel. Anybody that's interested in more information about Buddhism should definitely go to Antoine's Dharma Path because he's got some good information there for you. Hey, Guidance Gateway, I'm doing well. How are you? Child, unique. I be done duct tape somebody cheering to the tree. I can't do it. Like I said, I love kids in the abstract sense, but in this day and time, with these parents out here on the craziness they be on, and the kids can catching up, getting caught up with that too. I'd be in jail. I would. I would. I want to make a difference in young people's lives, but I can't. I don't. I know that I don't have the patience to do it within the school system. First of all, half the crap they teach in school, I've gotten to the place now that I have a hard time just dealing with any of that. So yeah, Butterfly. Yeah, I'm doing well, and I'm glad you're enjoying it here. Hey, Sage. I didn't even see you, but hey, if you say so, Anthony, I know I'm not crazy, and I know kids do. A lot of children have done well by me. All of my children are sane, productive members of society. They don't have felony records. I got a sergeant in the Air Force. I got a couple of managers and construction workers. My children are doing just fine. I'm not crazy. And the children that they were friends with, I still have several of them now that they're grown. They still reach out to me too. I'm still my dukes. Awesome, Sage. I appreciate you and welcome, welcome. I got well, I'll be doing yours tomorrow. I'm almost caught up on the readings. I was telling them earlier you should be getting your reading hopefully tomorrow. Brittany, you too. Honestly, and child, even the curriculum that they're doing through homeschooling now, I'm just grateful I don't have to deal with school and kids right now, period, because they'd be in a world of hurt. They done changed up the math. They done stopped teaching English. They don't teach handwriting and grammar. And it's a hot mess. Our school system is so jacked up. It's ridiculous. And the yeah, Tatiana, the curriculums that they make you follow, I would have a hard time with that because I know that they're intentionally teaching lies. I didn't know it when I was coming along, but now that I know better, there's a whole lot of stuff that I used to get in trouble even though when I was in school, especially when it came to things like trying to teach us government and history and things like that. I can remember sitting in civics class and having an argument with the teacher trying to they could nobody has ever been able to make the electoral college make sense to me because it don't make no sense. It served its purpose a few years on the other side of slavery, but being as how slavery has ended now, there is no excuse for the electoral college to still be in effect except for the fact that they use it to skew elections at will. Namaste, Cartoon House. I am very well. How are you? I hear that, butterfly. Yep. Yeah, I couldn't. And I feel my heart goes out to the kids that's got to go through the school system today because now some of the changes that they're making, it just seems I can tell what they're doing. Just like the initial school system was designed to create factory workers, now they're trying to ramp up these children. When they started testing us, I'm 57. When I was in school, they were doing IQ testing, even though the man who made the IQ test told them that it should not be used that way. But it occurred to me later on, after I got to be an adult, they used IQ testing to try to identify starseed children and the early neurodivergent children. And now that they have started naming children as indigos and crystals and autistics and this and that, they are changing the curriculum not to allow children to function more peaceably and develop amongst themselves. They are really further enslaving humans. They're just teaching those children to be more computer literate so that they can integrate more completely with the programs that make them more effective programmers. That's all. Before they were teaching us reading and arithmetic and all that so we could learn blueprints and all that to work in factories. Well, factories are now giving way to office cubicles running digital stuff, and that's what they're gearing these children up for. But it's really even further dehumanizing them. Oh, child, yeah. In California, they really done lost their mind. Excuse me. The children in Gaza, all we can do, honestly, what do you what do that about the third eye? What about it? Open it. I don't know what you talking about my 89th favorite food. I don't know. I like Asian food. How about that? Um, let me see. Your INTP. It can change occasionally, but it usually won't change very much. You need. Let me see. Hey, Major Arcana. Exactly. They're not going they don't want to get rid of the electoral college because they literally use it to swing an election however they want. There is absolutely no reason or excuse for them to have it, especially in the digital age, because they literally could have us all log into a website and vote individually ourselves using our photo IDs as a means to register or whatever and log on so that one vote would really count as a vote and solve election issues like that. They could do that tomorrow, but they refuse to because they you can vote, you can tally the votes, they can do whatever they want to, and then you go to bed all of a sudden, and then they tell you that the electoral college, whatever state swung this way and swung that way, they use it to be able to select presidents instead of having honest elections. The word for the kids in Gaza is what I have for everybody in Gaza. Guidance Gateway. The way we can help the kids in Gaza is to energetically hold it down. We can do more. Those who are not in that part of the world can do more to help them by envisioning and imagining and praying for or asking for, energetically sending love to that part of the world and to those children, and energetically seeing them in a more peaceful world overall. We can't keep focusing on how bad it is and how terrible it is and all that, because all that does is keep that energy of bad and terrible. Everybody jumping that political stuff and they be at each other's throats and they don't understand that's part of the problem. But energetically, as beings of light, we can help them more in the etheric field by holding the light for them than we ever could by rallying and protesting and holding picket signs and all the rest of that. That's not going to help them. I'm not sure what you said about cringeworthy. What do you that about the third eye? I have no idea. And all of the upside down, I don't know what all of that's about. I choose to adorn my third eye because I choose to. One of my guides is Lord Enki. He's also known as Lord Shiva. So I'm not a practicing Hindu, but it is appropriate for me to adorn, cover, protect, whatever you want to call it, my third eye if I choose to. Oh, you're welcome. Honestly, cringeworthy. Do votes matter? Votes matter. Well, truthfully, in the way it's set up, it doesn't matter as much as people think, but it kind of sort of would, and eventually it will when we get to a more compassionate way of governing ourselves, other than the hot mess that's happening around right now. But a vote is a voice. It's supposed to be. It's not truly now because of things like the Electoral College and the way they be lying and rigging elections. But a vote is supposed to be a voice, so that you can choose and appoint and direct the way you'd like to based on the choices put before you. Now, the problem we have now is that the choices that are put before us are all selected, curated ahead of time. We aren't really given real choice. We're just given a choice of, do you want this or that? Do you want bad or worse? Kind of. But eventually, a vote will matter when they clean this mess up. Dustin Elmore, I talk to my guides. I don't pray to them in the sense of the whole, like people talk about the bowing and scraping that we're taught to do, or we were taught to do as children. I speak to Yeshua and Lord Enki and Thoth, but I talk to them respectfully as I would any elder or mentor or whomever. And then if I feel formal within it, I may close out the prayer by saying thank you. So it is, so mote it be, Ashe, something like that in Yeshua's name. Yeah. Hey, Knickerbocker Fred, how are you? Oh, good, Butterfly. I'm hoping it's making sense to most folks. Hey, son of all nations, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Crazy Cree, Yeshua is whom the person that we think of in the scriptures as Jesus Christ. I don't like to refer to him as Jesus Christ, because that's not truly his name. Because Jesus, such as it is in the scriptures, is a reference back to Zeus. It means hail Zeus, which routes right back to Yahweh. That's another one of the ironies of Christianity, is that they got people thinking that they're doing all of this in servitude or out of love for Yeshua, but everything in that religion basically cuts Yeshua out of it. After they killed him and nailed him to that so-called cross, everything else is rituals and binding spells designed to curse him and his bloodline, and to curse us and our bloodline for being suckered into it. And then the rest of it is magic and binding spells to Marduk and Ra. I mean, Marduk and Yeshua, Marduk and Yahweh. Christianity is not what people think, and neither is Islam or Judaism. No, I'm not a Christian, nor am I a Muslim, Dustin Elmore. I guess if you, I don't even claim to be a universalist, because I do realize that that is a religion. I am not. I have transcended religion. I'm more spiritual than religious. If anything, I follow more Buddhist tendencies. I'm not even a practicing Buddhist, because when I got done with religion, I was quite honestly scarred and traumatized by religion. And so I just lost the need for all of the ceremony and the pomp and circumstance and the ritual of religion. I learn from where I can learn from. Good Lord, that part of the track is loud. My bad. Um, yeah. So I'm not any religion, but if you wanted to call me a universalist, I guess it could be. Thank you, Antoine. Oh, and anybody that likes the music that I play during the tracks, I have a playlist on the channel of meditation music. I got a couple of them. I've got I think something meditation music, MMM meditation music. I also have some that are a playlist called activations and meditations, and that actually has some guided meditations and some light code activations and things like that in it. I've got a bunch of different playlists that I've made open. So yeah, I definitely encourage you, if you like some of the music and the energy of that, because every now and then I don't assume that anybody bumps into the same stuff that I bump into online, so I don't mind sharing it. Son of all nation, I wouldn't. Thank you. I was going. That's just ignorant. But anyway, I wasn't even gonna pay him no attention. But I wouldn't call myself omniscient, because that means all knowing, and nobody knows all. Again, this is Dustin. This is part of what I have a problem with. They've told us that he pays a fine for our sins. We don't have no damn sins that we needed a fine paid for. That's a lie that Christianity tells you, because Yahweh said that we're dirty and disgusting and we're all worthy of death. But that is a lie, my dear. We are not dirty and sinful and disgusting. We were made by Lord Enki, and they tell us that Yeshua needed to die to pay for our sins. That was their excuse for killing him, but he didn't have to die to pay for our sins. He died because he was trying to tell them the truth and stop the Jews from worshiping Yahweh, and they got mad and didn't want to hear it, and they killed him for it, and then knit him in the middle of this religion that is an absolute lie and a travesty after they killed him. Dustin don't get it. I'm hoping that he'll stick around and listen, because I wanted to hear what he had to say there, but yet no. Exactly. He looked at his creation and he saw that it was good, but because one of the Elohim didn't like what was happening, then he turned around and threw basically walked in. It was like some walking into a card game and just flipping the table over. Yahweh came in and flipped the table over because he didn't like what was happening, and painted everybody as a monster and everybody as a lie, and then got the whole world on this demon time of misogyny and rape and slavery and all of that. And it's just nonsense. Ooh, Joshua Boo. Well, happy born day coming up to you on the 13th. Yay, yay. Why do grown people be so ignorant? Next time I want to address whoever this person is that keep coming back in here, because I'm trying to figure out why grown people ain't got nothing better to do than talk about a 40-year-old science fiction movie. That part. As many fat people on this planet, why he feel like sitting here calling me names is going to particularly hurt me, because I probably ain't no bigger than his girlfriend or his mama. But okay. Exactly. Butterfly, you ain't never lied. Exactly. But that's the, again, we're told that because Eve dared to want to know the truth, that that was wrong on her part, and for her wanting to know the truth, she forever bought sin and death for us. And humans went for that lie. That part. I've never understood that either. Why is wanting to know the truth make you worthy of death? Because Yahweh don't want us to know the truth. Yahweh came here on a lie from the very beginning and said we were never to be told the truth. And when his brother felt so guilty about that, that he broke the protocol and told us the truth anyway, Yahweh lost his shit and got so mad that he literally threw them out the garden to make sure that they could not get extended life. It wasn't that they got death, they just couldn't get a hold to the fruit that had been imported from Nibiru that would have given them long life. That's what was in Eden that they had to be tossed out of the garden for. KB, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I hope you are as well. Hey Zero. Hey AD. Oh, I didn't see what Antoine put, but I'm pretty sure I would have enjoyed it. Cringeworthy, I'm gonna tell you right now, boo, you don't have nothing to be afraid of. Hell in the Bible is not for humans, it's for Satan, the devil, and his cronies. So unless you intend to keep following him down into the pit, then you might have a little something to be worried about. But truthfully, as a carbon-based life form, even if the fire were literal, you would hurry up and burn up. The concept of an everlasting burning hell, fire, torment forever and never, that's a scare tactic that they give you to keep you compliant, my love. Please release that here and now today. You do not have to fear a burning hell. That's not even truly a biblical teaching. That is a teaching of the church, but it is not truly a biblical teaching. And even Bible scholars debate over that, because it's a lot of the old school folks that want to hang on to that hellfire teaching, but it's not truly biblical. There is no real scriptural backing for that thought. Hey, Tamika, it's good to have you in here, my love. Welcome. Hey, Erica Frank, how are you? And welcome, welcome. Good evening, AD. I'm glad you're in here as well. Unique, that's exactly it. He did not want us Inky. When he started his creations, he realized that we had the potential to match or excel their intelligence. And Enki, and like I said, Enlil won't having it. He can't stand the thought that we could be equal to them. He saw us as like roaches, animals, slaves, nothing. But yeah, please release the idea of hell cringeworthy. You don't need to be scared of that, baby, at all. Dang, you be getting them, girl. I can't even say I was trying to. What, don't donate? Can you imagine being so hateful that you make your whole channel avatar name when you sign in, don't donate, simply so you can just go crash other people's live streams and hate on them? How miserable of a human being do you have to be to waste your precious time. We all get exactly 24 hours in a day. And that poor somebody, we need to pray for them because they are so miserable that they don't have nothing better to do with their precious time than to go around and find live streams that they don't resonate with so that they can come in there and spam them and troll them. How truly sad. You know, I really feel bad for people like that because that means they ain't got no life at all. None. I got way more things I could do with my life than to hang around in live streams that I don't resonate with. And I done seen some crazy ones out there. People chopping crazy looking meat, dancing around like they gotta pee. People sitting up there eating corn starch. People drawing themselves or coloring their bodies with purple markers. All kinds of stupid stuff. And you know how long I stay on there? Long enough to do this. I wouldn't dare waste my time going in somebody else's house to try to rain on their parade, whether I agree with their stuff or not. I was raised in the deep South, butterfly. Well, I wasn't raised, thankfully, with fire and brimstone. It was even worse. I was raised Jehovah's Witness. So, but that was one thing. I never had to be afraid of hellfire. But even after I left there, and I could never find a real spiritual, scriptural backing for hellfire teaching. Paul Wallace talks about that in some of his recent videos as well. And he was an archdeacon in the Anglican Church, and he was saying there is no real scriptural basis for hellfire. It is a ridiculous concept, Brittany, but it's like I said, it's kind of like all the rest of this stuff is designed to keep us enslaved and in fear. we all recovering from something, Erica. Butterfly is recovering. She traumatized by Southern Baptist hellfire teaching. But I mean, I was born and raised in a tiny town in North Florida, so I'm like in the Bible Belt for real. So I'm not sure about the Apophis asteroid. We're gonna have to just wait and see. I mean, that's the only take I can have on it. Now, whether it actually turned out to have some sentient beings coming along with, I don't know. But, it is what it is. Hey, Spiritual Sparkles, how are you? I mean, if you want to read the Bible every night before you go to bed, Joshua Boo, that's your business. But half of you, if as long as I would encourage you to look at it a little differently. Ain't nothing wrong with reading the Bible. I reference the Bible all the time here on the channel, and I've done several videos where I'm going into the scriptures in depth. However, please understand what the Bible actually is. It's not what you think it is. I'm doing pretty good, Spiritual Sparkles. I really am. Oh, good. I'm glad you ain't got no trauma there. But let me go back here and talk to Joshua Boo a little bit. This book, we're told that it is the inspired word of God, good for teaching, reproving, and setting things straight. So it's right in the, think about it. It didn't say uplifting, enlightening, none of this. Reproving, setting things straight. It's a disciplinary book. This is the rule book for Yahweh, okay? However, what it actually is a compilation of ancient texts put together in a certain way to create a narrative. The first part of this book is from, like you said, the Sumerian, Babylonian text, the ancient writings. And then it comes along into some more modern day. And by the time we get to the quote unquote New Testament, it became a vehicle to segue people from the Jewish Yahweh worship into the more modern version of Jehovah worship, but Yahweh and Jehovah is the same being. And the way that they did that is by some very specific deceptions. The main deception is they start this story in the first part of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, when they say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's like once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. It's literally the equivalent of Genesis chapter 1. It's giving us the truncated version of what the creator of all did when he created this planet and terraformed it and bioformed it and then let it be. By the time we get over here to Genesis chapter 2, when we get to Genesis chapter 2, that becomes the Anunnaki story that let us make man in our image. That is Enki and Ninmah and Thoth. Yahweh was there as their brother, but he didn't have shit to do with the making of humanity in the Garden of Eden. All he did was come along later. He was the Satan of the Eden, meaning he was the governor of the Eden. He was ruling earth during the Adamu project that they had going on. But he was in there as a ruler and warlord. He had nothing to do with the actual creation of humanity. All he did was insist that we would never be told that they were not gods, and that we would have a worship gene inserted in us, and that our telomeres would be capped and we would only be allowed to live but just so long. And even that came along later at the Tower of Babel. When humans were first made, we were living almost 1,000 years. So if you understand who and what the Bible is, some of it is spell work, Niana. It really is. And truthfully, overall, the way they've chosen to use it to bind people and tell this huge lie that is Christianity, it becomes a spell. It really does become a binding spell over humanity, especially the part about the whole Jesus and the crucifixion thing. Daniel tells us any man hung from a tree, it's a curse unto him and his bloodline. And any man that's left hanging on a tree past sunset, it even curses the land. Okay? So what do? When they got so mad that they couldn't stand the fact that Yeshua was trying to teach them not to worship Yahweh, they strung him up on a tree. Now they tell us this fancy story about the crucifixion, but it's not even metaphysically possible to hang a human on a cross the way they describe. They describe putting holes through the palms of his hands and splaying his body out this way on a cross. If you were to do that, the weight, even if he only weighed 150 pounds, once they hobbled his legs so he couldn't physically stand up on his legs, if he was have his legs hobbled on there, the body weight would have literally ripped through these tendons and gone right through his hands. Your hands cannot hold that much weight splayed out that way. That is a lie, because Constantine was a sun worshiper, the sun up in the sky. He is the one that wrote Christianity with the first Council of Nicaea and all of that. And a symbol of sun worship is the cross with a circle around it. So that's where the story of the whole cross thing comes in. But they weren't hung on a cross, they were hung on a stake or a tree that had the branches taken off of it, and they would have been pierced through this part of the wrist together. And then the feet are hobbled so that they cannot put their weight on their feet. And by holding the hands over the head like this for a long period of time and not being able to put their body weight of their feet down, it causes the lungs to fill with fluid, and that's how they die over time. They drown in their own fluid. That's what an actual crucifixion is. But they done lied and gave us this whole cross story and all the rest of that. So no. And then to make bad matters worse, after they killed him, they have us forever doing this thing with the drinking of his blood and the eating of his flesh in commemoration of this blood sacrifice they did by killing him. That's a binding spell for everybody that gets roped into doing it. And it really don't have nothing to do with him because they do it on Easter Sunday, which goes back to a pagan fertility ritual to Ostara with the rabbits and the eggs and all the rest of that stuff. They got humanity all effed up in the game, completely hoodwinked and bamboozled. And yes, Sage, there are no, baby, but the King James version is not the key word. People don't even know King James was not a Christian. And they call it a version because he deliberately messed with some of the translation. It's not an actual translation, it is a version. And King James's other greatest hit was an encyclopedia of demonology. Please know your real history. Please. Oh yeah. And the Psalms and the Proverbs, they were set to music and all that, the timbre of it and the stuff. And they just go on and on and on for verse after verse after verse. Hell yeah, it's spell word. Um, hey Empress Nana, welcome, welcome. But yeah, butterfly. Like I said, King James didn't give a rap happy about Christ at all. He was just into antiquate, the antiquity works. You can download whatever you want to on your look. Again, you can download whatever you want to on your phone. Is your phone. I can't tell nobody what to do. I'm just here trying to help set the record straight and give people some truth and enlightenment about the things that they've been conned into doing because we've been told to do them from childhood. So we don't know no better if don't nobody ever tell us. So now that I do know better, I share what I know with people so that they can wake up from this spell work that's been cast over us and they can see the truth and free themselves. If you choose to stay involved in that and sucked into it, that's on you, Joshua. You can download 15 Bibles if your phone got enough memory to hold them. But if you don't know what you're reading, it ain't gonna do you no good because you're staying stuck and blinded by spell work. Exactly. The Antoine, that sun god image appeared on his coins. It appeared in public monuments, and that cross in the circle is part of a seal denoting sun worship. And his conversion was only perfunctory at best because he wanted to solidify worship under his crown. It was easier for him to have, instead of having all in 5011 religions, if they could genuinely, they brought in a lot of beliefs from a lot of different religious systems at the time and put enough of, sprinkled enough of everything into it that they could put it under one blanket religion just to create unity under his crown. But he didn't give a rap about Jesus at all. Good night, Valerie Blakely. I will see you another time, my love. And thank you for joining us. You say your simple thing as far as God or Jesus as a mom, you ask Christians a simple question: would you let your child knowingly? Exactly. Why would anybody set their child up to be killed for others who are still going to continue to sin? And if you're supposed to be the Alpha and the Omega, you should have known they was going to keep sinning. So why in the world did you just nip it in the bud? You going to wait enough, you going to let it rock out for 5 or 6,000 years, then come and send your son down in the middle of this stuff. And I know the timeline is different, but I'm saying according to the biblical timeline, they had let it rock out for 5 or 6,000 years, then plunk Yeshua down in the middle of it, and then gonna let it rock out for another 2 or 3,000 years before you actually do anything about it. But you're gonna have your son have to come here and die to cover up your mistake. You made these faulty humans. You should have had you the alpha and the omega. You should have known they was gonna fuck up, right? But you're gonna have to come in now. But I forgot. Yahweh also had Abraham. He had threatened to have Abraham go and unalive his son too. He thought that was cool. That part. And when the angels supposedly came to minister, was it to Lot or whatever, in Sodom and Gomorrah and all of that, and the man gave his concubine or his servant girl and let them, they literally graped her all night till she died in the morning. Yahweh was cool with that too. He didn't put a stop to it. But then Yahweh is a rapist himself. He raped his wife, Enlil, and the only reason that turned out okay, because it literally had to go back to the council at Nibiru, but she forgave him and agreed to marry him anyway. But he literally raped her. This is the nature of the God they got y'all serving. Yep, Niana, he was. King James was a murderer. He was a PDF file. And he was a homosexual, which, I mean, I don't care about that part. But the rest, yeah, that part. But it's ironic that he was a homosexual and a PDF file, but the Bible that everybody swear by is his version. But the scriptures speak out adamantly against all of that stuff. Go figure. I'll read it occasionally. I don't like the King James version because I just find it difficult to read. The one that I'm reading here is the English Standard Version. If you're more comfortable with the King James, then that's on you. It's honestly, all of them have been manipulated to hide the truth. And the main thing that they've done is by genericizing this Elohim word and turning it into God. Everywhere you see God in this book, it should say Elohim or El Shaddai. Elohim means powerful ones, and El Shaddai means sons of the powerful ones. It does not mean God at all, at all. And that's the greatest deception that helps perpetuate this lie. Because they can, and they took, I don't know if the original text had any of the other names of the Elohim in them, probably, because the Anunnaki were pretty careful record keepers. You look at Genesis chapter 5, when it be talking about the exploits of Enki, well, they don't call it that, but all of the names that are in Genesis chapter 5 is the sons who had sons, and they lived so many years, and then they died, and then they name another one, and they go all the way down the line. They talking about Lamech and Noah and Methuselah. I don't think Methuselah is in chapter 5, but Kenan is mentioned in there, and different ones. All of those people that are mentioned in Genesis 5 are also mentioned in the lost book of Enki as hybrids, which means Enki was in there getting down with some humans, because Yahweh did not do any mating or interacting, offering up his DNA or nothing. He hated humans and thought that was above him. But when the human genome started slipping again, Yahweh was, I mean, not Yahweh, Enki, he was a little bit of a horn dog, but that's neither here nor there. He never claimed to be perfect. And of course, their morality is different than ours. They made it with their brothers and sisters and didn't think nothing of it. So when the human genome started devolving, and the anthropologists have shown in the fossil record that actually happened, that humanity jumped the evolutionary timeline from Australopithecus, like straight up into Homo sapiens, say, or went from Cro-Magnon or whatever it is to Homo sapiens, and then it started devolving again. It's seen in the pottery and the artwork and everything else. And then about 11,000 years ago, it said that for whatever reason, humanity got a sudden boost again. They call it the introduction of civilized man. And that's exactly what Enki said he did after he noticed that the Adamic line was devolving. He turned around and made it with dawn and dusk, and Adapa and Titi were born, and they were supposed to be the first civilized humans. He shored up the human genome by mating with humans directly. Honestly, and I get that the Tyndale is another important version or translation, if you will. But my problem with the New Testament, though, is all of that goes back to this writing of his cat that was supposedly Paul, and they debate whether or not it was actually Paul that wrote it. But whoever this Paul person was that composed the New Testament, that was not a lover of Yeshua. Go and read it. He literally is, in my opinion, is the Antichrist. Whoever wrote the New Testament is the Antichrist, because Yeshua said a great deception would happen, that shortly after he left Earth, that somebody would come along that would deceive humanity and lead them lost, and then boom, 100 years after he supposedly left this earth, here come Paul with all them lies. The Kabbalah, to me, I feel like there's more truth than there to be found there than in the scriptures, son of all nations. But I also feel at this point it's a little more complicated than it has to be for some people. It's just like going back through the Gnostic texts and stuff. And it's not that I don't believe in the Gnostic scriptures or in the Kabbalah, but it still has kind of smacks of religion. It gets so rigid in the things that they're saying, till truthfully in this day and time in 2025, somebody could spend 20-25 years digging through the Kabbalah and the Gnostic text, or they could just go right back to the beginning and read the Anunnaki text and bypass all of that. To me, it's just making it harder than it has to be to get stuck in the Kabbalah, because it's not necessary. We don't have to worship nothing. And ultimately, the Kabbalah is literally still kind of sort of leading us to worship, kind of sort of. That's just my opinion. Like I say, anybody that wants to dig around in it, fine. But I'm trying to make it easier. I'm like I said, I don't have another 20, 30, 40 years to waste, if you will, digging around in extra stuff that's just leading me more lost, when I can cut to the chase. I done already spent 30 or 40 years doing that. And now, in my opinion, it's just easier to go back to the beginning. And they done told me what it is in the beginning. Why do I have to keep digging around in all them other versions? If I go back to the very oldest source that anybody can find, and they're telling me right then and there that all this other stuff is unnecessary, why do I have to keep going back through the unnecessary stuff? That's just me, though. I did let my children decide for themselves, AD. I did not push religion on my children. And I felt guilty about that when I first did it, because I was still, at that time, I was coming out of Christianity and I wasn't quite sure where I was going to head next. I did some seeking and working, searching and researching for a while. But I was raising children during that time, and I just could not bring myself to force them to go anywhere. And I had one child that wanted to go to church, and I went to a different church with her. I've been baptized under a couple of different sects of Christianity before I knew any better. And yeah, most of them, it's like they had a belief in God, so to speak. One of my sons he went to church with his grandmama and did his thing, but I could not bring myself to push it on him. And I'm grateful now that I didn't, because all that does is bind the mind. They are free thinkers. They're far more spiritually focused now, and they don't have the guilt of the heaven and the hell and all the rest of that stuff, and got to go and give 15, 10% of their They don't have to do none of that. So yeah, I don't. My children have decided. They're all grown now, but yeah, I did not push religion on them. He said tricknology. Yeah, right. Unique woman. Hey, Mr. Cordinaros, how are you? Hi, hi, Svali from Istanbul. Welcome. Hi. Hey, Sivanantham. How are you? That's true. I couldn't use that violated then, because I just don't want to get in trouble with saying the real word, but it's the truth. And it angers me that I have to edit my speech that way, but we have to because of the platform, like you say. but violated. If that's safe for the platform, then I'll use it. Which that's crazy to me. You can say violated, but you can't say the other word. Okay. Well, that's what's up, Sage. Like I said, I use the English Standard Version because it was just easier to read. Honestly, at the time I have a King James version in the house, but and then I got a modern language version that's also I just it was a little too modern language for me, so the English Standard kind of helps a lot. Joshua, I was talking to you when you were sitting there talking about the scriptures, but it's okay because you can go back and watch the replay if you choose to when it uploads. I was basically just talking about the different Bible versions and why I don't choose to go all the way into like Kabbalah and the Gnostic teachings and all that. I've dealt with them somewhat, and I probably will to some degree a little bit on the channel, but I don't really drill down into them because they tend to be very confusing, especially if someone doesn't have an extensive Bible basis to go from. Trying to spin off into Kabbalah or the Gnostic text can be very confusing. So I just don't do a whole lot of that. Oh Lord. They got the 86,000 seconds. It must have been really bad. I'm glad I didn't see it then. Uh-oh. Let me see. I ain't mean to do that. I was trying to make it invisible. You can I didn't touch the wrong thing. I'm so sorry, Antoine. I didn't mean to do that. If you can make it visible, invisible again. Okay, cool. Well, and but that's the thing, and that's one of the reasons I don't want to fool with it too much. Again, it to me it's a little more enlightening than standard modern Christianity, but respectfully, in my opinion, Abraham chose poorly. He voluntarily chose to worship Yahweh and then roped the rest of his people into serving that dragon. That was not a really educated, wise choice. Again, people want to get upset. Well, he's the father of the nation of Israel. Well, okay, well he led all of his his ancestors or his progeny. He led them lost, and we're still paying the price for Abraham and Moses' choices. Exactly, a very naive man. He left temple service from Nana Sin and all of that. And I'm not saying that was great either, because Marduk wasn't much better than Yahweh, but he went and chose to align himself with a liar. The man, Abraham, I mean, Yahweh promised him, if you serve me, I will give you a son in your old age. And it took him 25 years to fulfill his promise. Why would you want to lead your progeny into continuing down that line with he claimed to be a god, but it took him a quarter of a century to fulfill his promise. You damn near about to die by the time you finally get a son. And then when that son does grow up, you the same God that took 25 years to give you this son turns around and tests your faith by telling you to take that same son up on the mountaintop and cut his throat and sacrifice him to him. Why would you want to keep following a God like that? And why would you tell your progeny to follow a God like that? Thanks, Erica. I believe in keeping it real over here. Because again, I was raised in that religion of thus saith the Lord. And if you don't do this, that, and the third, you're going to die. I mean, we didn't believe in a burning hell, but you're going to lose your life. And yes, God, it was Jesus had to die. He was a propitiatory sacrifice for your sins. And we're all dirty and only worthy of death and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, no, no. We, no. And of course, my family think I'm evil and full of the devil and everything because they want so bad to continue to believe that lie. They clutch their pearls and argue for the right to continue to follow the dragon down into the pit. Well, in that aspect, Raina, then that's fine. But again, that's ancient Egyptian religion. And I just kind of went past all of that stuff back to the original. There's no need for me to delve around in ancient Egyptian religion because that's a newer kid on the block than where I'm going. I went back as far back as we could go, right back to the Anunnaki in the Sumerian texts when Hayoka wasn't even around then. And they refer to the creator of all. So that's just what I refer to. Because by the time you start peeling off into these different pantheons, they start they were trying to explain away things, but the corruption had already begun. Yahweh was on the planet telling these people that God, they're all gods, they're gods, they're God. They're not gods. They was astronauts who came here from another planet, but they ain't gods. But they deified everything in the Egyptian pantheon, the Greek pantheon, all the rest of them. And there's just no need to continue to support the idea that they are deities when they are not. It is very sad conditioning. And the saddest part is we are now in the age of Aquarius. We are now in the age of information. They've been digging up these ancient texts for 200 years and translating them, and the information is all over the place, showing that we've been misled and been given misinformation, and people still want to cling to the lie. We are unique. That's why Yeshua said, did I not tell you ye are gods? It just means powerful ones. Remember, Elohim means powerful ones. And since we got their blood running in our veins, we are them and they are us. Earth fall and rising, I'm not sure, but maybe. I mean, but the Hayoka is a term from the indigenous people in the Americas, and it was the sacred clown. It's talking about a like a type of empath that basically is so empathic it mirrors your soul back to you. That's what the sacred clown does. It basically shows you who you are. People either love the sacred clown or they hate him. And I get that. I have very few friends left because ultimately you're gonna get the Hayoka will be as empathetic and as loving and all of that as they can, but eventually the Hayoka is going to tell you the truth. And most people get to a point before they get to healing, they still stuck in victim consciousness. They want to argue for their limitations and they cannot bear to hear their truth. I got a friend I'm in the process of losing right now for that very reason. And it's not that I was trying to be mean or hateful. It's just that she don't even understand she's doing better than she ever has in life. Left a horrible domestic situation, got out of that. Children grown now. When I first met her, she was working 3 jobs and barely scraping together one income between 3 jobs. Now she's got a job making over $100,000 a year. It's just her. She driving her fancy car and everything else, and still arguing for her limitations and crying to poor mouth and steadily overspending. And she got upset with me because I wouldn't, she would call me wanting to be all in distress, crying about money. And I wasn't ugly, but I'm like, I know what you make and I know the math, and the math ain't math. And you really got to stop crying to poor mouth, because if you're trying to be a powerful creator and you start arguing for your limitations and still keep spewing what you ain't got and spewing how bad something is, all you doing is creating more problems for yourself, right? And when I said that, oh, she hurried up and got off the phone with me. I ain't heard from her for almost 2 weeks now. People don't want to hear the truth, but I can't allow her to keep spewing that around me, because I don't need that kind of negativity. People always want to play armchair psychologist for the Hayoka. Everybody bring their problems, but when you try to kindly redirect them to a more positive way, some people ain't ready to do that. They want to continue to wallow in misery, and when the Hayoka tells them that, they get mad and want to leave. True. What are you? I wasn't even trying to stomp on her toes, Raina. I was like, honey, you gonna, and I literally said it. I was like, baby, you gonna have to do better, because there's no reason. I get that you're under the gun and all the rest of that, because she had some fraud that happened on her account, real fraud, and she lost some money. But she called her father and he loaned her some money, and she was stressing out about how she gonna pay her rent. And at the time, I was like, first of all, your bank has identified the fraud. You might not get all of it back, but they have identified the fraud, so you're going to get part of it back. Your father has already loaned you some money, and you know good and full well, I know her daddy, and I've known both of them for over 15 years. She ain't going to never have to pay that money back, and it's fine. But even if she did, she makes enough to pay it back, and you get paid again in another 2 weeks. Why are you bitching? Basically, I mean, I didn't say it like that. I said it more gently, but I'm like, and she started complaining about her credit card bills and her this bill and the car statement. And I broke it down. I didn't even tell her, because after she rushed off the phone, I did the math according to the bills that she said and what I know she has to pay, and even with all of her credit cards. And my thing was, you got 6 credit cards, so that tell me you ain't broke. They wouldn't have gave them to you if your debt to income ratio couldn't support 6 credit cards. So the fact that you're whining about what you don't have, you're literally trying to play the victim to make people feel sorry for you. That's a good way for you to fuck up your financial situation according to the law of attraction. Keep whining about what you don't have and see how much you continue to not have. So I'm trying to stop her from shooting herself in the foot, and she didn't want to hear it, because I sat there and listened to all of the stuff that she said she had to pay, and generously added in for her monthly allowances, her household stuff, miscellaneous, whatever that might come along, because she lived by herself. And even after everything I could possibly think of to put in her bill, she still has almost a little, I think about $3,200 a month to live out of. Why is she crying to poor mouth? After all her bills was paid, rent, car insurance, life insurance, car insurance, phone, groceries. She smoked, so I even counted for cigarettes, miscellaneous stuff, all of her credit card payments. I counted every freaking thing I could think of, and she still had $3,200 a month to live out of. Why is she complaining? And she got mad at me for calling her out, for trying to stop her from shooting herself in the foot energetically and complaining. She likes to play. She has been, and that's my thing. Ever since I've known her, she does play the victim. She cries the poor mouth. She always cries the poor mouth, regardless of how much she makes. She likes to play the victim, and she does not mind spending a fast one to get her way with other people. But I've known this chick over 15 years. She can't lie to me like that. And I'm sitting up here genuinely broke, unemployed, and I'm not complaining. But you making over $100,000 a year with only yourself to take care of, and you still crying the poor mouth and complaining. And I was just trying to tell her, you really can't. And honestly, Unique, that's one of the things. Impulse, you'll never know. You'll never be lucky enough to find out. Put that. How about that? Um, but that's one of the things I had to come and really face myself and realize I've gotten rid of, or most of the folks have chosen to walk away from me. But there were some folks that I was still kind of allowing to stay in my energy because I would like to have some friends. Like it would be nice. And she was one that doubled back. We had gone through a really ugly patch several years ago, and we didn't speak. I had cut ties with her, and we didn't speak for almost 3 years. But she came back to me asking for forgiveness, and it was at a time in my life that I was working on unconditional love and forgiveness and all that. So I did forgive her, and we reconnected. And I thought that she was going to be able to kind of rock out with me because I thought we were in that same space. But after that encounter, normally I would have called and tried to make nice and make amends and all the rest of that. And I just let it be. I realized I thought she was coming along with in this point of evolution that we're in, and she has evolved somewhat, but she may not be taking the whole trip with me, and that's fine too. Because this is the same friend. I've talked about her before on the channel. I know for a fact that we're in a different timeline now than when we first met. And the version of her that I'm interacting with now is not the version of her that I met. It really isn't. And I thought that she was kind of spiritually evolving and coming along with, and like I said, to some degree she has, but she probably is a little bit of an energy vampire because truthfully when she calls me it's usually to fuss and complain about things going on in her life and the kids and the drama at work and all the rest of that stuff. And I'm not saying I haven't ever had to vent to her either, but she does a whole lot more venting to me than I do to her. So when she chose to get mad and separate from me, I just kind of let it rock out and I didn't pursue. Now she'll call back again, but it'll be all right. Oh yeah, honey, there are energy vampires everywhere, and you're right, Slay today, that everybody can't come. They just really can't. And that's the thing that I had to get to be comfortable with. Almost nobody from my previous life is coming with. Like I'm blessed to be able to take to even feel like some of my children will. I even have one child that's on the outside of the parameters of where I know my life is headed. I love her. I haven't cut her completely off. I did have to back away from her for several years. But is she really gonna sit at the table of what spirit is showing me where I'm heading? Not really. She wouldn't be able to be like when in the a director of the foundation and doing it. She's not that person. She's just not. Um, you say you used to reach out, be forgiving until you. Exactly, exactly. Honestly, Raina and Butterfly, that's one of the things but I also realize that's part of my healing journey is to be able to let go of those people. Overgivers continue to overgive, and that's part of the thing we have to learn. We just have to learn when to say no and when to lead in people where they at. We feel so obligated and we don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. And oh, but we've been friends for 100 years, or oh, that's the children, all of that good stuff. Oh, Joshua Boo, you're welcome and good night to you, my love. Hopefully, I'll see you on another time at another time. Hey, Foxy Doll, what's up? What's up? Honestly, Niana, and that's what's gonna happen. I'm not cutting her off. Like I said, I don't have to call and tell her off or all the rest of that stuff. I'm gonna just let her fade to black like most of them do. That's all. Because eventually, I mean, I have had some that I had to just, let go their own way. But They had plenty of opportunity to get it right and they chose not to. So I really don't feel super bad about that. But most of them, I just let them go on and fade away. I did have another, it's crazy because I thought I didn't have nobody else I could cut out. But like I said, she's fading herself away. And then I had another one that I've talked about plenty of times on the channel, done readings for and all of that. I considered him a spiritual brother in another country. And he after the fact, he still was on this, but I need your energy and I can't, what are we gonna do? And I value you so much and what and blah 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 blah. But the issue was we've been friends for a number of years, and every about 3 to 4 months, he has some kind of a life situation pop up where, according to him, I need to send him anywhere from between $100 and $300. It's always between $100 and $300 every 3 to 4 months. It's always some crisis coming along. And I don't mind helping people out. And when I had it like that, I have helped out. But I noticed over the years, it's not reciprocal and it's always some excuse. And I finally reached a point where I was like, you're going to have to start handling your business. You're a grown person. I can't keep doing this. No. And we reached, and I told him, I had backed away several times and told him, please don't ask me for money anymore, because I feel like it's gotten to a point, it's one-sided and um, it's inappropriate, and it's starting to make me feel some type of way. When I feel good about giving, I don't mind. But when I get to a point where I'm starting to resent it, that's my sign that I need to pull back. So I said, please don't ask me about money anymore. And what did he do? Last week sent me some kind of a forwarded thing about some kind of gas leak, something or other, some news article that something happened and a bunch of people got injured. And he claimed he was injured in that and that I needed to send him some money to help with his hospital bills. And I'm like, I don't have it, bro. I don't. No. And then a few days later, he sent back saying that basically his life was in my hands. You get no. If $300 is gonna cost you your life, then I'm so sorry. You gotta go. You a grown man. You got a wife. You got a child. You got family. You got all of this stuff around you. I done told you I'm not sending you no more money. And I finally had to just cut him loose. I don't care what kind of spiritual relationship we had. I'm not your financer. And it really reached a point where I feel like he sees and understands where I'm heading spiritually. And I think he believes in some of the visions that I've shown and all of that. Dustin, don't come back in here with that, because I done said you didn't listen. Jesus did not come here to redeem us. They lied and killed him and told us that lie. He didn't come here to redeem us because we didn't need redeeming. That's a Christian lie. You needed to be blocked, and you're about to be blocked again if you keep coming back in here with that. I promise you. I didn't do it. My mods will do it for me though. We're not for that. If you can go somewhere else with it if you don't like it. But I'm not going to sit here and allow you to put a lie in my stream, because that is a lie. We are told the lie that Yeshua was sent here to redeem us, but that was their excuse for killing that beautiful, beautiful prophet and then knitting him in the middle of their satanic, demonic lie of a religion. They got people worshiping Yah the Baal, the dragon, Satan, the devil, Yahweh, Jehovah, all of them names I just said is the same individual. Yahweh, Jehovah is Satan the devil, and they done tricked humanity into worshiping him in the name of Yeshua. But Yeshua was never telling anybody to worship Yahweh. He came here to tell the Jews to not worship Yahweh, and they killed him for it. And then in an ironic, hypocritical lie, they put him in the middle of the religion and said that he needed to die to buy back our sins. Yahweh was the only one of the Anunnaki that thought that we were sinful and dirty and disgusting and animals and all the rest of that. The one who actually made us, Enki, loves us. Yahweh is the one who hates us. So all of humanity is bowing and scraping and giving their 10% and all the rest of that stuff to serve a God who absolutely hates them. He hates them if he's Yahweh. He hates them as Jehovah. He hates them as Allah. He hates humanity. Period. Sorry. I got to change this music up though, because it's way too many commercials in this one. Some of these channels put ridiculous amounts of commercials. It's a meditation track, and they got buku. We're going to have some Ishtar music, and hopefully that'll work. You're welcome, Butterfly. I can't do nothing but to call it like I see it, though. How do I know all this, Diane? Lots of reading. I stopped reading only church approved information only because they'll never tell you the truth. If you read the church literature, you're going to stay stuckity stuck. But if you go out there and actually listen to what real theologians and theosophists are saying and real Bible scholars, and start reading some of those other books that they dug up when they dug up the Dead Sea Scrolls, they didn't just dig up 66 books up out this Bible to make the Bible. They dug up hundreds of sacred texts or ancient texts, and they still been digging them up for the last 200 or 300 years. If you read some of them, then you'll find out that some of this is true. I would encourage you, if you want to listen along somebody that'll tell you about from a church standpoint, Paul Wallace. He has a channel called Paul Wallace, Wallis. He also has another channel called The Fifth Kind, and he was an archdeacon in the church, in the Anglican church in Australia for 33 years. He was a teacher of priests and pastors. And he came out of the church when he started digging through the ancient text and found this paleo contact information as well. So I'm not just making it up. You say, how do I know all this? Lots of reading and study and meditation. Yeah. I love Paul Wallace too. Absolutely. The book of Enoch can be very beneficial, Crazy Cree, and eventually we probably will get into it. It was included in the initial Bible canon. It was taken out because it tells a little too much. Same thing with the Gospel of Judas, Gospel of Thomas. There are several of them, and I'm not saying we won't. The only reason I'm not going through the Apocrypha right now is because we're going through Zechariah Sitchin's series first, and then probably Paul Wallace's series. We'll eventually get around to, some of the books of the Apocrypha. I might try to start setting aside like one day a week to cover part of an apocryphal text in addition to the 12th planet, because it's going to take us a minute and a half to get through all of Sitchin's works. There's like 14 books to get through, and we're just in book one now. So I may actually start including some discussions on the apocryphal text as well. Oh, good, Butterfly. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna continue to research, and I just wanted to teach you. Somebody was asking, where do I get this stuff? So I just wanted to let them know. A system permanent ban will occur if live video donated in 1 minute. You can go to the bathroom all you want. Notification. Carry on. That's on you. But I'm not gonna end the live stream because of you. There's 30 people in this room other besides you, or 29 other than you. But yeah, who somebody was asking about where I get the information from. I get it from all over the place, but I've been inspired or encouraged by Yeshua to share the information, so I do. Flynn Rider 123, yeah, I'm gonna shout you out. There you go. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're getting great information out of it. I'll do one better. I'll look up your channel and see what you got going on over there. I'm always anybody that's got a channel that they want me to check out. Please let me know, because I'm all about that. I don't believe in gatekeeping. or none of that. What did I do? I had a pen. Oh, okay. Oh, thank you, Sage. Yeah, if you do benefit from this information and you kind of would like to, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have a buy me a coffee link. Sage has been so gracious as to put it here. If you want an active link, you can go to my about page. You can just tap the link and you can buy me a coffee there if you'd like. And I definitely appreciate your generosity ahead of time. Also, if you'd like a personal tarot reading, I am a tarot reader. If you'd like a personal reading, you can email me at modernmysticmessages@gmail.com. My payment gateway is through Buy Me a Coffee, but if you email me, we can get something set up that way. Uh, Diane De Lorenzo, if you go back to the Lost Book of Enki, if you trace back, you've heard, okay, it's not going to be any one book. In order to find the information, I'm going to tell you how to do it though. Well, that's true too. Look, and I'll read that one for her. We can start in the book of John, chapter 8, because I read this a lot on this channel, but I don't mind reading it for you so you can begin to hear this, Diane. In I recommend reading the whole Gospel of John. But if you first off, and when you read anything in the scriptures, do understand that where it says God, it should say Elohim, which means powerful ones in the plural. Okay, that's the first place you got to. First thing you have to understand in order to be able to decipher what's in the scriptures. However, in John chapter 8, Yeshua was speaking directly to the Jews. He was not talking to the Pharisees. He was not talking to the Sadducees. He was talking directly to the Jews in John 8. And let me clean my glasses so I can actually see, so I can read what he was telling you here. And in John 8, I'm starting around verse 42. He says, Yeshua said to them, if Elohim were your father, you would love me, for I came from Elohim and I am here. I came not of my own accord, but he sent me. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. You are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. So he was telling the Jews very clearly that the Elohim that they were worshiping was not the Elohim who sent him, nor was it the one he was worshiping. Now, if you go back to Genesis, well, truthfully, you won't even get the full story in Genesis. In the Lost Book of Enki, Diane, it tells us that when Enlil and Enki and Ninmah and Thoth came from Nibiru, hey Bruce, it means powerful ones. It don't even mean God. It means powerful ones in the plural. That's all Elohim means. It does not mean God. It's been translated to mean God, but it does not mean God. Zechariah Sitchin said that 50 years ago. And he read the original Hebrew and Aramaic and cuneiform, and he said it in the translation. He grew up over in, it was either Israel or Palestine when he was younger. As a young boy coming up through theological study, he was reading the original Hebrew, and he said he used to get in trouble for calling that out. Elohim does not mean God. Good morning, Ibrima and Cedric. Good, hello, and Maui Wowie and Bruce. So back to you, Diane. In the Lost Book of Enki, it tells us that when they came here from Nibiru, Enlil and Enki were two brothers. They are sons of Anu, who was the ruler on Nibiru. Enlil was next in line for the throne in Nibiru, but he came here to Earth on this expedition for the gold and all of that instead. And Enki was the older brother, but he was not in line for the throne on Nibiru. So truthfully, he should have gotten earth rulership of earth. It was initially promised to Alalu, but they switched up and did not give Alalu the rulership of earth. But when they first came here, Enlil and Enki's titles, Enlil's title was Lord of the Command, Enki's title was Lord of the Waters. He still shows up in pantheons in water. He was Poseidon, water. Olokun, water. Shiva, he didn't so much still had a water, but he still had the trident. That's Enki. Enlil became Yahweh, Jehovah, Baal, Beelzebub. He had a lot of different titles, names over time. But in addition to their titles, Lord of the Command and Lord of the Water, Enki's title was Ea of the Abzu, and Enlil's title was Satan of the Eden. Okay? So if that answers your question, Diane, that's one of the reasons I know that the God of the Bible is Satan, the devil, because the Genesis story flips the script and tells the story like the Lord God and Satan is two distinct, different individuals, because they've genericized it and put this God situation in here, Lord and Lord God, instead of the Elohim where they were talking about it. But in the Eden story, there was more than one Elohim present around that time. Enlil, Enki, Ninmah, and Thoth were all still very much active. Enlil, Ninmah, and Thoth were the let us make man in our image in Genesis chapter 2. That was the us that made man in their image. Enlil did not participate in the progenation of humanity. Enlil did not participate in that. That was Enki all day. But what Enlil did come in and do was try to step in his brother's shoes and painted himself as in this whole self-aggrandizing thing. Him and Marduk was all about worship and sovereignty, and they wanted worship. They wanted to be. He said he was a jealous God, and he was exiled a couple times and lost his people. But when he wound up conscripting Abram and then later Moses into this idea of serving him and creating a mighty nation, he wanted to create a people unto himself. He told them that he was a very jealous God, and he was. You can read in the scriptures. He was jealous, he was bloodthirsty, he was murderous, he was all of that. And that's who Abraham and Moses chose to serve. And then when the Jews got so angry with Yeshua trying to help set them back on the right path, that they had the Romans unalive Yeshua. And then 300 years after the Romans unalived Yeshua, they created this religion, Christianity, and put him back in the middle of it as a mascot. But Yeshua wasn't telling nobody to worship Yahweh. That's the really, really big okey doke, the bamboozling. Christians, ironically, serve Jehovah because they feel like they're supposed to, because they love Yeshua. But Yeshua wasn't pointing nobody to Jehovah. He was trying to point people away from Jehovah. And they turned around and got humanity tied up in this lie. It is crazy, Maui Wowie. It's a lot of people, Maui Wowie, that don't really understand the scriptures, because when you go to church, the priests and the pastors and stuff they'll take a few verses and then build a sermon around a few verses. If you don't read the whole story, you lose the context of it. I'm uniquely suited to be doing this because I grew up in a household where I was taught to read from the Bible, and we had to read every week. We was all up in them chapters in Deuteronomy. We reading about Ashtoreth and Mahashalalashbaz and this one and that one, all of them funky names and all the rest of that stuff. I spent my entire childhood reading the Bible. So I was also taught to read with comprehension. So I remember some of the flow of these stories more than the average person. Most people in Sunday school get the very pleasant stories. They don't get the story about the woman being violated all night long till she died. They don't get the story about, Abraham. Well, they actually in church they do teach a story about Abraham being his faith being tested by having him take his son up and sacrifice him. But no, the preachers don't talk about the fact that he waited for 25 years for Yahweh to fulfill his promise to him to give him that son in the first place. And then Yahweh had this man under extreme duress, telling him that he had to take his only son up the mountain and cut his throat to prove his loyalty to Yahweh. Who in the hell would keep worshiping a God like that? But humanity is still worshiping him to this day. Exactly, butterfly. I actually have a video in my playlist, Modern Mystic Loved Ones. I think it's in that playlist. When I talk about the book of Job, we go into, I don't read the whole book of Job, but I start talking about the book of Job because that is another situation that would make you question whether it's God or Satan. And truthfully, if you read that story and understand that Elohim means powerful ones in the plural, you can see two separate personalities and possibly a third. It was a conversation between Enlil and Enki, or Satan the devil, and Enki, and his father Anu, possibly, because Anu basically told Satan that he was bound here to earth. He could not just go home and leave this mess. He had to basically fix this mess. That's what, because I could never figure out why in the world would God bind Satan to the earth if humans are already messed up. Why would you put the devil down here and make us stay here? But they had been here for so long they really couldn't go back anyway. But Anu basically was like, no, y'all started this, you gonna see it through. But that's a whole other issue. But as far as the issue with Job, it was a pissing contest between two brothers. And he said, of course he serves you. Or you do everything for him. Of course he's going to serve you. Or I don't even know. It could have been the fact that Job might have been a servant of Enki's, and Enlil took everything. Because honestly, I really don't think Enki would have gone that far to prove a point. But to prove a point, to try to break this man's faith in him, he was allowed to take everything from him, killed 10 of his children, took all of his cattle, all of his sheep, all of his goats. The man lost his crops, lost his land. His wife told him to just curse God and die already. And his so called friends sat around and hell hacked him to death for damn near 2 weeks, telling him that I know you must have did something to deserve this, because nobody would be going through all of this if they really wasn't a sinner. So I don't care how good you thought you was, Job. You must not have been all of that, because look at you now. All to prove a point. What kind of God is that? No. You said Navajo traditional tree teachers. I'll check it out. Let me see. Okay, I wrote that down. You welcome, butterfly. Well, David, I mean, you say you just came in on the channel. I hope you heard some of that, because other than that, you probably gonna have to go back. And I do have several playlists on the channel, though. Scroll down the list and look at something that pops the name, grabs your attention. I would encourage you, if you're in the modern mystic loved ones messages, maybe start with maybe the resurrection day message, or like I said, the story of Job, or um, you can go into the lost book of Enki, the emerald tablets of Thoth. That's the kind of stuff that I talk about. I wrote it down, Antoine. Thank you for that. So I can go check it out later. Navajo traditional teachings. Sure. Hey, Ennis, how are you? Any tips to decrease knee pain? You suffering 2 years badly now? Uh, Absolutely. Get all of the gluten out of your diet. Stop eating bread and pasta. That's the first place to start. And cut sugar out of your diet. That's another place to start. Meditate, lose weight. There's a lot of different ways you can look for. But truthfully, if you if you're still eating gluten and sugar, I can almost guarantee you that if you cut out gluten and sugar within a couple of weeks, you're going to start feeling better. And if you do it long enough, you're going to start feeling absolutely better. And I'm suffering with the same thing. And the reason I know it's gluten, because every time I get off of gluten, inside of a couple of weeks, I can just about go up the stairs without very much pain. And if I get to forgetting myself or just get happy and just do just because of whatever, a weekend of me just doing whatever the hell I want to will have me to where I can barely walk. So yeah, get rid of the sugar, get rid of the gluten, and thank me later. Okay, definitely come back in, message me or something on the video. Let me know if it worked for you. I would also recommend you frequency music. There is music that you can listen to help alleviate pain. Listen to some binaural beats that are centered around pain relief. They do have some specifically for knee and joint pain. Um, you might also look into turmeric. You can look into MSM and hyaluronic acid. Those are things that can help, because hyaluronic acid can help replace the synovial fluid between the joints. Now, I'll tell you something else, even if you don't want to take the supplements, we're going to go all the way back to an island remedy. Get you some isinglass if you can find it. Isinglass is like the bladder of it's just the swim bladder of the some kind of fish. I can't remember which fish, but it looks like little clear strips. Isinglass, flaxseed, and there's a Jamaican herb called strongback, and Irish moss. Get a little bit of each of those and boil that down until it ain't gonna taste great. Now I can tell you that you're gonna probably have to put some lemon juice and some other stuff in it to be able to drink it. But boil that stuff, boil it all the way down, and start using that a couple times a day, and it will probably help your knees feel a lot better. No, Diane DeLorenzo, the tarot cards are not from the devil. And if you actually knew anything about tarot cards, they actually have a lot of spiritual symbolism in them. Christians say that tarot cards are evil because there's a scripture, I think it's in Deuteronomy or somewhere, where Saul had banned divination. But ironically enough, he banned divination, but when he wanted to talk to Samuel, and Samuel had passed on, he actually had somebody go find the witch of Endor to talk to Samuel for him. Hypocrite. The church tell you divination is evil, but the Levitical priests carried the and the Thummim, which were two divination tools, in the breastplate of their garments. That was part of their uniform as Levitical priests. Again, butterfly, some will stop and say it's evil after they've been doing it for years. And you know why? because their faith isn't strong, and they let somebody get in their head, and then they turn around and go right back to worshiping the dragon. They go back to Christianity. Dolores Cannon did that. Not Dolores Cannon. Oh, not Dolores Cannon. The one who did the tarot. Oh, she had like tarot cards. I got two of her decks in here right now. I can't even remember her name, but it's not Dolores Cannon. But she had all kinds of tarot decks that she made. She made a fortune selling, doing tarot readings and designing tarot decks and cards and stuff, and then decided to go back to Christianity. They can get lured back in. If your faith isn't strong and you want to go with the status quo, you can go back to serving the devil if you want to. Thank you, Alive and Thriving. You know what? And one of the things I have noticed, because I'm not wearing any foundation, and I haven't been for months. Every once in a blue moon, I'll put on some foundation, but it's just more trouble than what I want to do. I do my eyes. I got struggle brows. My eyebrows are so, I actually have them. I don't actually shave them off, but they're so sparse. They look like they're shaved off. So once I paint on the eyebrows, I do a little bit of eye makeup, and then my lipstick, I wear zero foundation. But I have been doing more fasting lately, and my skin is clearing up more. Hey, you don't need to be scared of me, Kelly White. If you're scared, go on about your business. That's all. Why would somebody say I'm scary, but they're still sitting here watching me? Scroll, sister. That's all you got to do. Just scroll. Hey, whoever you are, I can't speak Arabic, but yeah. We don't do that kind of nastiness here, Pog. I recommend you retract your comment if you choose to stay in this room. Otherwise, you'll be timed out for a good long while. We don't play that here. This is not that type of party, and you're an adult. You should know better. You can't control yourself no better than that. Then you need to go somewhere and get that together before you come out in public. Ill. Thank you, Butterfly. Appreciate you. Thank you. Nice to be friends with. I appreciate you. You say you're from Jordan? Awesome. Any and all are welcome, long as they're gonna behave here. They come here with some immature nonsense, though. They got to go. And we definitely do not cater to depraved sexuality here. And I'm not a prude. I'm all about sacred sexuality for sure. But that low rent, low energy nonsense crap that'll keep you stuck and dealing with nonsense garbage people. Oh no, we don't do that here. Mm-mm. We are gods and goddesses up in here. We don't have time for that. And if you have a trouble calling yourself a god or a goddess, we high priests and hierophants. How about that? We can do that. No, but as far as the whole tarot card issue, Doreen Virtue, that was the one. Yeah, yeah. And honestly, again, it's about people. But here's the thing: you said tell you about you need help with. You don't need, honey. When you got haters, you must be doing something right. Like Cat Williams say, if you got 4 haters, you need to figure out how you get to 5. But you can't let the haters get in your head. They're going to hate. Let them hate. That's their job. They didn't evolve. They're not ascending. They're seeing something in you that you don't see in yourself yet. That's all. Just ignore them and let them go. Get them out your energy. But they're gonna hate. You can't stop that. I guess, yeah, I have some of her decks too. I'm not getting rid of the decks, but it's just weird because, and honestly, and Unique Goddess is a tarot reader, so I'm sure she gonna co-sign what I'm getting ready to say as well here. In the tarot community, it's like anything else. You'll find people that are seriously on their spiritual journey and tending to their energy, or you'll find people that really are not. They just in it for the money, or some of them were led to tarot for part of their spiritual healing, but instead of actually doing their spiritual healing and keeping their energy clear and all the rest of that stuff, they get bogged down in karmic energies because they constantly reading that kind of karmic nonsense, and they don't clear their energy, so it starts taking over in their lives. I've seen several tarot readers that and I'm like, sis, I see karmic stuff sometimes in my cards too, but if that's all they ever seeing, that means they're imbalanced in their lives. That's all they can see because that's where they're at in their energy. They're not tending their spiritual journey. They are just sitting there churning through karmic energies because that's what people want to pay to hear. And they make a boatload of money because people are in there in that low. They want to know who doing the spell work and is the boyfriend coming back and who over here and who at the job hate me and who's sending the spell and all. And you can get people to pay you for that all day. I'd make a whole lot more money if I was to dabble around in that mess all day than if I stay on the spiritual tip. But that's not where I am in my journey, and I don't feel comfortable reading in that kind of energy. I was grateful that I'm reading for the chosen who are at a point in their journey where I can give them words of encouragement and how they're going to be able to progress and move forward. Because I done did, like I said, I don't need to keep churning through that kind of negative stuff, you know? So, but I mean, and again, people do it. I had one reader, and honestly, the last time I checked this channel, I think he had 2 videos left up there. He's not even really reading anymore, but he was in it for the wrong reasons. He had been a gamer or something, and something happened with his channel, and he lost traction in the gaming space. So he thought, well, other people are doing this. Let me just pick up a tarot deck. So about 7, 8, 9 months ago, he went and got a few tarot decks and decided he was a tarot reader. And truthfully, he had an incredible knack for making oracle cards. I honestly wish he had gotten more into that, but he refused to tend to his energy, and we became friends. And I saw some things that were very concerning in his life, and he was under heavy spiritual attack. But then I found out he was playing with demonic shit. He had a Ouija board in his house and all kinds of mess. And I told him what to do, suggested things that he needed to get rid of and ways he could clear his energy and all the rest of that. And I genuinely, because it had gotten so bad, I ain't talking about what I think, I saw it happen with my own eyes. I was on a video call with this man and saw things flying off his bookshelf and hitting the floor, and he put it back on the shelf, and 3 or 4 minutes later it fell off again. Doors slamming in his house, and he was the only one in the house. That kind of stuff. Yeah. And I did a Reiki session with him, and I did some prayer, and I did readings for him, and I helped him, told him what to do and how to sage his house to get those energies out of his house. And he did everything I told him to that day. And he said that it worked. It was so bad to when he did what I told him to do that night, every crystal in his bowl on his tarot table cracked. Every crystal cracked. Even the ones he had around his neck, they cracked. He had one necklace that I had told him to bury in salt that didn't crack, but all the rest of his crystals in his house cracked. But he said that he could see that demon that had been scratching him and all of that crap in the middle of the night. He said it was outside of his house, but it could no longer come in after I did what I did to help him. And do you know that that fool turned around? He was a minion for a witch in somewhere in another country. The next day, he went off on me in such a way that I had to completely sever ties with him. I'm like, I helped literally get a demon off your neck, and then you turn around and go off on me. People make their choices. Some of them get so caught up in that stuff that they just cannot leave it. And I'm glad, like I say, when I found out what he was really working with, it scared me too, because I had never dealt with nothing like that. But once I realized what I was dealing with, I didn't back down. I had already called in my protection. Every time I sit down at this tarot table, I pray and call in mine. But even at that, during the reading for him, I kept seeing black flashes going across my screen. My phone was glitching. The energy was so jacked up during that reading. Trust me, when I finished that reading, I got my booty in a salt bath. I smudged the house, opened the window, smudged the house, sprayed the spray, put the salt in the. I did some of everything, and I literally went through and cleansed all of my cards. I wouldn't read for nobody else until I cleared my entire space. Cause, but yeah, people don't understand. There's nothing evil in tarot per se, but if you play with it the wrong way, just like you can invite in light, you can invite in darkness. So it's not the tarot cards that's evil. It's the energy of the people that's playing with them the wrong way. Just like you have good doctors and good lawyers and bad lawyers, you can have good tarot readers and some folks that's out there playing with the wrong stuff. Everything that light got, dark got one of them too. Think about it. Even we call on angels. All angels ain't good angels. People don't realize that. People play with black magic. That's one of the reasons why I wouldn't get involved. I had people inviting me to look into things like Rosicrucian magic and Enochian magic and things like that. Well, first off, the way my spiritual walk is set up, I know for a fact, or Spirit has shown me through my meditations, that I come from a long line of witches and warlocks and whatever else in my history. I'm here to close a lot of karmic cycles, not just for myself, but for my lineage. But this walkthrough, I couldn't play with none of that. No spell work, no incantations, no, none of that. It literally was meditation and spirit. I'm a moon mama, so I do my crystal work and that kind of stuff. I'm Reiki attuned. My hands are very powerful as far as Reiki, but that's not the same thing as, all the people. A lot of folks that read tarot also get into doing like spell work and stuff for people. I will never do work for nobody because I got sense enough to know anytime you out there doing work for somebody, if that does not take effect to where you sent it, it will come back to you and it'll come back double. No, thank you. I don't want them kind of problems at all, at all. So yes, my spirit team, I'm about love and light only. I'm aware that there's some other stuff out there, but I won't mess with it at all. Mm-mm. You said, do you think people who have experienced trauma or needing more healing should wait to do readings? It depends on where they are, truth. I mean, we all have experienced trauma and we're gonna all be healing is not a one and done, it's a constant journey. I laugh, I feel like I done been through like 15 rounds of Dark Night of the Soul. So honestly, I can't say that it depends on where they are in their journey. But like, for example, if I have some stuff that comes up in my life where I know my energy isn't right, if I got to be taken back through a point of healing, or I've really kind of in my own healing journey for a few days, I won't try to read for the collective during that time. I'm not saying I'm going to give up tarot altogether, but if I've got something that's really kind of gut punched me a little bit and I'm not really feeling up to par, I may be quiet on the channel for a few days while I get my head together and go get my bath and go pray and go read or whatever till I get my energy back right. But again, as a reader, I take what I'm doing very seriously because I know we're told, it's for entertainment purposes only, but people that are actually seeking spiritual answers are actually looking for real answers. And I wanted to make sure that I'm always a pure and clear channel for spirit and that I am only delivering messages from divine light. I don't want to be dabbling in the darkness at all. So when I make sure that my energy is completely or as good as, like I said, I have to make sure my energy is right for reading before I do it. And if I have a particularly intense day or two of reading and all that stuff, that then I may have to take a little downtime to get right again. That's all. Um, oh, you did see an angel? That's cool, Antoine. I want to see my spirit guide so bad. I'm clairaudient, but I'm not clairvoyant. So I really don't see any of that. I've seen some things in my third eye, but never an image of my actual angels. I would love to see them. Sage, my thought about black candle for sending back psychic energy. Honestly, if you feel like that's what you need to do, because I know it's part in some of the protective work, they do tell you to use different color candles and things. And I have burned a few different color candles. Most of the time I work with white candles and things like that. But honestly, if it's just sending back the energy where it came from, that's cool. I honestly don't feel like you have to, though. I've never had an issue with that. I just basically I call in my guides and then address the issue at hand and the people at hand and ask my angels and ancestors to wrap it in love and send it back to them. But if that's the way you were trained to do it, I don't see a problem with that, because like you said, it's not doing spell work or anything to hurt anyone. You literally just trying to keep that monkey off your back. So ain't nothing wrong with that. Where does goodness and morality come from? Honestly, from the same, basically it's the same flip side of where darkness and immorality come from. Dark evil, what we call evil, is just the collateral damage from creation. In this paradigm, in this experience, in the 3D reality, one of the universal laws says that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when the one separated itself unto itself, it became divine, masculine, and feminine energy. The pushing off point of creation would generally, if you make something light, it's going to basically in opposite direction push off in something dark. We perceive it as evil because of where our thinking is. But just like time is not a real thing for the divine or for people in other parts of, beings in other parts of the cosmos, time is not linear. It's like all encompassing, simultaneous, and all of that good stuff. Truthfully, what we perceive as evil is not truly evil. It may be undesired or unpleasant by our standard, but if you're an eternal being, is anything really evil? It's a morality lesson. It may be a less than desired result, but it's not truly evil. Not from a higher perspective. Now, I'm not saying that we're supposed to embrace all the bullshit we see here. I'm not saying that. I understand why we perceive certain things as evil, because there's certain stuff here that just should not be done. I don't care. Because it's focusing in the darkness to the wrong way. And I'm not about that. And you don't have to be either. I'm not encouraging that. But I'm just saying, from when you look at it from a higher perspective, it's not genuinely evil. It simply is a different experience and outcome. It's a morality lesson to be learned in earth school. Some things, if you do, have very unpleasant consequences. And you can say we have a right to do it, and to some degree we do. But here's the thing. You know where the real punishment comes from? It's not a heaven or hell, fly or fry scenario. It's a transitioning and having to go through the life review and having to experience the pain that you caused from the victim's perspective. That's how our soul learns and grows. Sackboy J, do you believe when you're wait a minute, hold on. What did I uh-oh. It must have been, I was trying to read the question. Was it bad? My bad. I didn't get to read all of it, so I didn't even see it. Oh, here it is. Wait a minute. Doing someone's spiritual work entangles your dharma with their karma. You can carry through their burden, but also inherit their lesson. Yeah. True help uplifts without absorbing. Right. And that part I do believe, Antoine, but I'm saying they were talking about those who genuinely are still on their healing journey, if they feel like they've been impacted by it, and to some degree, because what you pay attention to starts kind of coming into your space. And when that happens, just turn your attention, like I said, get your energy right and then jump back in. Especially if you're a teacher, a healer, any of that, we always have to do that, because we got to tend to our own healing, but we also are dealing with other people's issues. One of the reasons psychologists always wind up crazy is because they can't really process that stuff. They don't have nobody to share it with. They got client patient confidentiality or whatever, but who helps them work through their madness? when they done sat there and listened to everybody else's all day. And I don't care what you say, eventually every therapist I've ever known, heard tell of, eventually if they stay in practice long enough and they don't have some kind of a spiritual outlet, they will go crazy from listening to all of that stuff. Do you believe when you're exploring your spiritual journey that negativity follows if you don't protect yourself and can mess with your energy just because you're trying to explore? Absolutely, Sackboy. The reason for that is because we are here to awaken and ascend. And guess who don't want us to do that? Yahweh and his crew. The scriptures tell us we war not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities, which would basically translate to demons, powers. Those are spiritual, those are non-corporeal entities, and they've proved, like I said, they feed off of energy. They are the for real energy vampires. And some of those powers that were on the physical plane, what we would call Illuminati, and some of them other negative things that they kind of look at and can never figure out who they are, they very much worship those beings and help round up energy for them to harvest. When they go to these big concerts and stuff, they harvest loosh, or what's that other stuff? And they even showed it in the stuff that children, oh, I can't think of the name of it, I'm having a brain fart. But yeah, it's very much about those entities harvest that stuff, so they are real. So when you are in exploring, if you don't protect yourself, it can become an issue. They will come after you, especially if you ain't no regular degular and you're reaching for Christic levels of energy and attainment. You start reaching for your Christhood, and I promise you, at some point, they coming for you. Okay, just get ready. Now, it don't have to be no violent, mild, no harsh attack, but I've experienced that. I wasn't reaching for anything dark. I've been only trying to seek the light. But do I come experience some negative stuff coming after me? Oh yeah. But I also keep in real close touch with my spirit team too, so it don't get way out of hand either. So you, like you say, you just learn to protect yourself. Well, thank you, Butterfly. Honestly, unique. I think our I don't even, well, our gifts, our skills, what have you. I think they open when they're ready to. And some, I mean, clairaudience, I think, is the first thing that most people wind up with, and then maybe some clairsentience or claircognizance. Everybody won't be clairvoyant. Different people have different skills open to them, and like you said, it happens randomly for you. So in time, maybe you will be able to control it more. Who knows? We're evolving on the fly. So as you become more crystalline and clear your energy field and start, expanding, you might become more clairvoyant. Who knows? Oh, Dustin was back on his stuff. He'll be all right though. Devil. Y'all put people play with the wrong thing. I don't know why y'all think that's something good to play with. And truthfully, every Satanist that I've ever talked to too will tell you you don't really want to play around with the devil. You really don't. It's all good, well and good until your life they get done with you, and then they're gonna toss you on your haircut, and your life gonna get raggedy as a bowl of sauerkraut. But keep playing with them. Oh, Butterfly, I'm so glad. I'm glad it's been able to help you, honestly. You said, do I have any advice on how to hear from our spirit guides during meditation? You don't pick up on anything when you meditate? Any advice? Continue to meditate, clear your energy field, try some fasting. Again, I can't officially tell you how long to fast or what to do. Let your guides kind of lead you into that. Um, but the more fasting will help clear your field, so to speak, to be able to let you go deeper into meditation and ask There are several guided meditations. Look up on YouTube guided meditation to meet your spirit guides. There are distance Reiki sessions to help you be able to meet your spirit guides. There is like sleep hypnosis to help you meet your spirit guides. And you may not notice anything at first, but still do them a few times. Maybe spend a week or so with each meditation or something and see what happens. But don't give up on it. It can happen. Because truthfully, I hear from now a lot of folks when they talk about their spirit guides and they have different names and this and that for a long time. I would be in meditation and get these thoughts, and I'm knowing that I'm in connection with a higher being, but they really weren't giving me names per se. Nah, bro. No, that doesn't mean that, because slavery wasn't right on Nibiru and it ain't gonna never be right here on Earth. Now that's just some people just trying to justify some garbage. Because who the hell are you to take somebody else's rights from them and corral another human being as if it was an animal? There's nothing. There's no race, no nationality, no subset of people on the planet. You didn't have to time him out that long. When he trying to be a little bit difficult, but he'll be all right. But there's no subset of people on the planet that's better than another subset of people on the planet. So that being the case, who the hell would anybody be to decide that they were better than another human being to make a slave out of them? No, there's never going to be no base morality anywhere on this paradigm that's gonna make that be right. I don't give a damn who they are. It just really can't. Now, and again, he called himself being slick because I said, is there really such a thing as evil from a higher perspective? But truthfully, that's one of the reasons why the beings that are with us to try to help expand our consciousness want us to be able to come to understand that that's one of the things that we don't need to be doing. It didn't work for them. We don't need to be doing it. And like you said, that PDF stuff, we don't need to be doing that either, because that anything that takes the rights and liberties away from another human being, we are all sovereign beings. So anything that disrespects or takes the rights or sovereignty away from another human being is should be off of our moral compass and radar. It should be completely out of bounds for us. And honestly, if we need a law book or a governor or a rule book or a religion to tell us that, then that means that our consciousness has not developed that part. Yeshua said that we should love God, Elohim, with our whole soul, mind, heart, and strength, something like that. And the second rule was to love our neighbor as ourself. If you don't want to be a slave, how you gonna make somebody else a slave? If you don't want to be trafficked, how you gonna traffic somebody else? If you don't want nobody messing with your kids, how you gonna go mess with somebody else's? That's easy. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And that will get rid of 90% of the crap that we deal with on this earth. People have a sense of entitlement and feel like that how dare you do this to me? But then they turn around and go and do it to somebody else. It shouldn't take a government rule, law, or religion to tell us to treat people the way we want to be treated. But they are so low vibrational in their thinking, then they turn around and feel like they can justify by increments the little things that they want to do. But again, what did Paul Wallace say? Worshiping a monster makes monsters out of us. All of the stuff that he's talking about and Dustin and all the rest of them was trying to justify, those are things that Yahweh don't have no problem with whatsoever. And over time, humanity has been so desensitized to that filth that they tried to justify it. Oh, good night, Sage, if you gotta go. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you were leaving, but yep, have a good one. Love you. Honestly, it's 11:22, y'all. I didn't even realize. I mean, the trolls were coming, but they weren't super bad, so I didn't even wasn't even looking at the time. But oh, Antoine, I can't even. Oh, I believe that, Antoine. Mine aren't. I mean, like I said, I was speaking. I was in communication with beings. I didn't. Like I said, I would ask. I didn't even think to ask their names at the time because I'd be so enthralled with the information that I was getting. But yeah, I don't believe my guides are human either. They are non corporeal beings. Oh, you're welcome, y'all. And again, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I'll be on tomorrow. I will try to get the rest of those personal readings done, and then I want to go online and do a little bit of live tarot earlier in the day. If that winds down early enough, I may be on tomorrow a little bit for a spiritual conversation. But the mods have been absolutely fabulous. I love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much. But yeah, it's getting to be 11:30, so I'm gonna go ahead on and shut it down here. It's 11:23, so that everybody can get a decent night's rest and do what they gotta do. And I will see you all one way or another on the morrow. If I don't go live, I will be uploading some information. We got to get back into Sitchin's work. But I'm going to try to get everything done so I can do a little bit of all of it. We'll see. Thank you. Thank you, Unique. Thank you, Antoine. Thank you, all of the mods that are still here. Sage already had to go, but thank you, everyone. And thank you, everyone that showed up and showed out tonight. I love these conversations. Absolutely. All right, Dustin. Like I said, I'm not for sure. I think I'll be here tomorrow for this, but if not for sure, then I'll be here Wednesday. Absolutely. I love you. Peace and blessings to you, everyone. Namaste.